Welcome everybody, Film Fan 108 here to my Blu-ray pickup video for October of 2019. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. You're thinking to yourself, well, wait a minute, he's releasing the October Blu-ray pickup video in December? Yes, I am. Now, here's the reason why. Because I knew you guys would probably think that right off the bat, and November was a really stressful month. There was a lot of stuff going on, visiting family, editing videos, planning stuff, a lot of unexpected things happening as well. So, unfortunately, there were certain videos that ended up having to get trimmed from the schedule of filming stuff. And one of them happened to be the October Blu-ray pickup video. And I know it's kind of late, guys, but to be honest with you, I still wanted to do the video. I have a really amazing haul that I still want to show you guys. So even though it may be late, I still think this video deserves to be put up and deserves to still be filmed and to still be shown to you guys. So that's what I'm doing. Yes, it may be late. Yes, you guys may be pissed off at me, but better late than never. And like I said, I have one hell of a haul, guys. I have, oh my god. Yeah. I have a lot of movies to show you guys. It was an insane haul for the month of October. I told you guys it was, and I wasn't lying. So, let's start this off with the first title that I picked up for the month. And by the way, the first 5 titles that I got, I have a Soundgarden in my area. In fact, it's only one of 2 Soundgardens in the entire sort of North America region, and they have some really great, wonderful titles and some really great selection. And the first 3 of those titles I actually got from Vinegar Syndrome. Vinegar Syndrome was actually at Soundgarden, and they were sort of on their way to a convention, and they stopped by, had a table full of Blu-rays and DVDs, and I took advantage of it in a big bad way. And the first title for the month, and the first title that I got at Soundgarden, is none other than Party Line right here. With this really great slipcover where she's kind of talking on the phone, and there's kind of blood right there with sort of the razor, and very, very cool, guys. And on the inside here, I put this artwork right here as well. She's sort of on the bed there in her slinky underwear, and she's wrapped around with the phone cord and everything. Very nice indeed. And this title actually came out a while ago, and actually I was going to hold off on this title until um, Vinegar Syndrome's Black Friday sale. I was actually going to hold back on it, but I said to myself, "Oh man, it's right there on the table, and he's gonna give me a good deal. Why wait on it?" So I definitely took advantage of it in a big bad way. So I did pick up Party Line, and Party Line, man, I was interested in this one for a bunch of reasons, but basically the movie is about this sort of brother-daughter combo who is running this sort of sex line, sort of sex hotline, where they're sort of talking very hot to people, and they want to meet up for hookups, and it's all about sort of money and everything like that. And basically, they're running this thing. They're running it as a business, but at the same time, the clients that they're meeting, they're basically stealing their money and they're killing them. Most of them are married men that they can either blackmail and or people that are not going to be missed, and they just kill them. All the while they're doing this, there's also an investigation going on with all these murders, and the police are trying to catch them. And it's just one of these sort of very sort of sexy, like late 80s, early 90s style thrillers where yeah, it's just kind of seedy and kind of dirty and a little cheesy, and honestly, it was just really fun, guys. It was a really fun one. I really like this one a lot. And the reason why I think I was interested in it, because it has David Cassidy in it. And when I was hanging out with my friend John that day, he was looking at it, he's like, David Cassidy's in this? He's like, this is weird, man. It's like, yeah, I know. And David Cassidy plays the brother, one of the really weird and messed up brothers who almost acts in some ways like a Norman Bates type of personality. You know, somebody who wears dresses at times, acts kind of girlish, but tries to be manly, has a big temper tantrums at times. It's like I said, it's very cheeseball at times. The acting is it is what it is for the time period. It ain't terrible, but it ain't Academy Award worthy either. It's I think it's fun. Honestly, it's more of like just sit back, relax, and just take it all in, man. And it was really fun. I thought David Cassidy was having a ball with this role. I thought all the actors were really doing a great job. It's one of those movies that you would have seen on USA Up All Night or Joe Bob Briggs. It would be something that you would have seen at that point, or maybe late night Cinemax way back in the day. It's one of those sort of like sex thrillers where there's sexy ladies, there's blood, there's a little bit over the top cheesiness. It's fun, man, and Vinegar Syndrome does well with putting these type of titles out, man, and I thought they did a really great job with this one. I really honestly did. I definitely have been wanting to pick it up, and I wanted a deal for it. Like I said, that's why I was gonna wait for Black Friday. But when they had it actually, at the sale, they had it right there on the table. I was like, God, I can either do one or two things. I can either wait for the Black Friday sale, or I can actually purchase it right here and now. It's here, it's right there, it's in perfect condition, and I'm like, why not just get it? So that's what I did, guys. I picked up Party Line. I do not regret it one bit. I really do like this movie, cheesy as it may be. Uh, I now can officially say that I have one title that has David Cassidy in it. I think you have to at least have one in the collection that has David Cassidy in it to call it complete. So now I have one. So now I can call my collection pretty much complete, guys. So yeah, Party Line was really fun, man. I really enjoyed this one quite a bit. And really, you get an interview with the screenwriter, and the screenwriter really talks about just back in the day and writing this movie and how he thought this movie was going to be completely forgotten, but people have found it over the years, and I've talked to him about it. And, he talked a little bit about the business. It's a really great interview, honestly, guys. You get the theatrical trailer, and, it's restored from the camera negative and everything. So, it's actually a really good, solid movie if you like these sort of sexy 80s, 90s type of cheesy thrillers. They're not bad at all. They try to take themselves seriously, but when you watch them, you're like, really, you really tried to take yourself seriously. There was type of movies like this. This is not a Basic Instinct or anything like that. It's much more cheesier than that. But I think it's actually much more fun, to be honest with you. I really enjoyed this one quite a bit. Not bad from Vinegar Syndrome. Always nice to get some more stuff from Vincent for sure, guys. Not bad at all. Party Line. And the next pickup that I got, guys, and the second Vinegar Syndrome title from Soundgarden is none other than Evil Town right here. With a really cool sort of hard box slipcover, which is really nice. You get this artwork here with sort of the hand coming out, really cool image. You also get on the flip side, you get the evil doctor there terrorizing the woman, not bad either. And on the inside, you also get either this art or this art right here. I ended up picking the evil doctor terrorizing the woman. I thought that was really cool. And you also get actually a folded up poster on the inside, which also has the imagery of the evil doctor and the woman right here as well. They have that, and on the flip side, of course, the evil hand coming out as well. Not bad at all, guys. So you do get that, and on top of it, this is actually a limited edition release. It's a limited edition of 2,500, and I got number 2,362. Yeah, so there's not many more of these left, limited edition wise. I don't know if it's completely sold out or not, and I was lucky to just get one at Soundgarden, but very cool to have this now, a limited edition from Vincent. And the movie's very interesting because it's about basically this town of a lot of elderly folk, and they're sort of very creepily nice and very accommodating, and you just feel that there's something wrong with these people. Like, you're like, God, like, these people are just really just weird or too nice, and there's just something off about it. And you realize that basically they are kidnapping these people who are either camping in the town or happen to be hitchhiking or traveling through or something like that, and they are harvesting them for body parts. And there's this evil doctor who is basically trying to prolong life and using these people as subjects in order to do that. And just sort of, it's about sort of these group of young adults who are trying to figure out what's going on and trying to escape and the complications of that. I thought this was actually really good, to be honest with you. I really enjoyed this one quite a bit. I mean, to be honest with you, I really didn't know what to expect because I wasn't even really prepared to pick this title up, guys. I remember I was seeing it on the table, and my friend John was with me, and he's looking at this, and he sees I'm looking at it, and he's like, dude, you gotta get this. Like, you're looking at this. Like, and I'm like, yeah, I know, but I don't know anything about this movie other than it has a very young James Keach in it. And he does a great job, by the way. And he's like, yeah, let's look up the trailer. So we looked up the trailer, and we really liked the trailer, and I was like, okay, I'll bite. And I wasn't disappointed, man. I really wasn't. I thought it was really well done. I like the creepiness of the old folks who are doing this, drugging the people, and you sort of get brought into their niceness, and you get to be brought into them be looking very innocent and that they're harmless, and then it really dives into these people being kidnapped and these people doing evil things. And I really enjoyed this one. I had a ball with this. I thought it was great, man. I really did. It's one of those unexpected movies that I didn't expect to get, but I'm kind of glad I got because I really enjoyed it, and I don't know if I would have ever watched it if I didn't take a chance on it. So I'm really happy with this one, guys. I thought it was really fun. It was really nice. And it's kind of interesting because the movie ends in a very abrupt way where not everybody sort of gets their comeuppance. There's certain people that do and certain people that don't. And it feels like the movie in some ways was kind of like half finished and sort of half not. It still has a complete story, but it felt like there could have been a little bit more to it. And there's a whole thing about this movie where it was supposed to be this other type of movie, and other directors worked on it, and I believe it was a different movie at one point, and they edited in different footage and a whole different subplot, and it felt sort of a hodgepodge of things. It really does, but for some reason, for me, I actually thought it worked quite a lot, guys. I really enjoyed this one quite a bit, man. And again, Vinegar Syndrome always gives really great treatment to these sort of more unknown style movies, and this one is definitely no exception. You get an audio interview with the director, which he's just one director. There was kind of a little bit of multiple ones who was doing things at times, but he was the one. He talks about the movie and retooling it and working with the producers and everything. Really great audio interview. You also get a comparison between Evil Town and Evils of the Night. Evils of the Night was essentially like this movie, but it got retooled with a different subplot and different elements and reshot some stuff to make it Evil Town. So it's kind of interesting to see the comparisons between two essentially different movies, but yet the same at the same time. Really fascinating stuff, guys. And this happens more than you might think. There's a lot of movies out there that come out as one movie and then they get rechanged and retooled and come out as a different type of movie. And sometimes you watch it and you're like, well, wait a minute, I thought I saw that movie like 2 or 3 years ago. And you probably did, and they just rechanged it. So it does happen quite a bit. And, like I said, the reversible cover art and everything. So, not bad. Vinegar Syndrome definitely gives it the love that it honestly deserves, guys. And I think it's actually a pretty darn interesting movie. Like I said, it's a hodgepodge of ideas, but there's still a lot of creepiness to it. I thought the acting was really good. I really love James Keachin here. I had a fun time with it. I really enjoyed it, man. It's not for everybody, but it's definitely for me. I liked it quite a bit, man. Give it a chance, though. If you can find it for cheap. If you don't want to pay for the limited edition, I can't say I blame you guys, but definitely give it a chance if you find it out there at some point. Worth checking out, I think. Evil Town. Then the next title that I picked up, and the third Vinegar Syndrome title from Soundgarden. I've been wanting this one for quite a bit, guys, and I finally picked it up. I pulled the trigger because it was there, and that is none other than Dolomite. And, man, it's kind of interesting because I've seen Rudy Ray Moore in things before, but I've never really watched much of the Dolomite stuff. I think I might have watched one or two things way back in the day when I was younger, but not really much at all. And, I was at Soundgarden, and the guy was putting out a lot of different stuff, and I was seeing Evil Town and Party Line, a few other things, and I just kind of asked him, I said, hey, do you have Dolomite by any chance? And he was like, yeah, I actually do have Dolomite. It's in this box over here. And he was picking through it and found me a copy of Dolomite. And I was actually, before I went to Soundgarden, I was actually looking at this title on eBay, and I was going to pick it up. But to get it in person, I was really happy to get it brand new for a great price. And, oh man, Dolomite here. Oh boy. Basically, it's about Dolomite who is in prison, played by Rudy Ray Moore, and he gets out of prison basically because they want him to uncover this drug ring and this conspiracy of what's going on. People are like selling these drugs to kids, and they're on the streets, and they want him to get rid of this stuff. And sort of he comes back into town, and things have changed. New people are sort of coming in and ruling the streets, and he has to sort of take back his territory and prove himself and become that badass motherfucker that we all know Dolomite can be, baby. And this was one hell of a movie, man. I'm not gonna lie, dude. I've heard a lot about Dolomite over the years. I really have, and none of it disappointed me, man. It really didn't, because he's like, I'm the baddest motherfucker around, baby, and he's like, get in bed with me, baby, and he's just beating up fools, and he's bagging the ladies, and he's just doing it with such style and class, man. And I love this movie from top to bottom. This is a really great sort of blaxploitation movie, which I think really spotlighted, I think, the comedy, but also just giving a lot of these actors a chance where maybe they wouldn't have in other mainstream movies. I think this is really awesome, dude. I really do. I had a ball with this movie. I think Rudy Ray Moore is a hell of a lot of fun, man. Has a hell of a lot of really great personality attached to him. And, it's kind of interesting because now I kind of want to delve into more Rudy Ray Moore stuff, And so I gotta definitely look into more of this stuff. But I gotta tell you, man, like, this is such a really great movie. And this... I can see why this movie has stood the test of time. I really honestly can, because it's one of those movies where you just look and you're like, it's so iconic. From the way the people dress to the way they talk, the dialogue, the action, like, you're just like, it's cheesy, but yet it just feels so iconic for the time. And they just don't make them like this anymore. I think the last time I really saw something like this was probably Black Dynamite, if I'm not mistaken. I saw Black Dynamite and I was like, okay, this reminds me of probably what a Rudy Ray Moore film would be. And seeing Dolomite, yeah, definitely reminds me of in a big bad way of that. But this was all kinds of fun, guys. It really honestly was, and well worth your time, man. Especially if you like Rudy Ray Moore, for sure, man. Vinegar Syndrome definitely gave it the love that it deserves, guys. Now, of course, they have this cover right here, which I really love this cover, man. This is a great cover. They also have this cover on the inside over here, which is not bad. I like this cover, but I prefer this cover a little bit more. I think it's a little bit more dynamic. I like that one quite a bit, man. And you do get a lot of great special features here, man. You get an Dolomite making of documentary. You get a bunch of featurettes, theatrical trailers, and much more, man. You get a lot of really great stuff packaged with this, man. Vinegar Syndrome definitely gave it the love that it deserves. Now, mind you, I know some of you are going to ask me, I have not seen the Dolomite movie starring Eddie Murphy on Netflix. I have to watch that. I've heard only good things about it. I definitely got to get up on that, guys. And now that I want to delve into more Rudy Ray Moore style Dolomite movies, what are some of these movies that you recommend to me, guys? I want to know what are some other Rudy Ray Moore films that you give your high recommendation to. Definitely let me know because I want to delve into more, man. I saw Dolomite and I'm like, yeah, man, I just love it. He's the smoothest motherfucker around, baby. And I'm like, yeah, goddamn right you are. And I loved it, dude. I loved every second of it. I thought it was fucking awesome. And so for me, it's one I'm definitely gonna keep in the collection by far. And I definitely want to dive into more Rudy Ray Moore stuff. So guys, definitely let me know about that. But this was great, guys. And by all means, the three Vinegar Syndrome titles that I got them all for $55. The guy who was selling them at Soundgarden, the guy from Vinegar Syndrome, he was really nice, and I was talking to him about movies and everything, and he ended up telling me, hey man, I'll give you all three for $55. That's a great fucking deal. I really love that so much, so thank you to him in a big bad way. And he even said to me, because he's one of the people that runs Vinegar Syndrome, he said maybe in the future he would love to do an interview for the channel and maybe sort of do an audio interview or something and, maybe talk to his thoughts about physical media and everything. So maybe that would be cool sometime. Definitely let me know if you guys would be interested in that. But $55 for all three of these. Can't beat it, guys. Not bad at all. Not bad for Vinegar Syndrome. And Dolomite is one badass motherfucker. And the next title that I picked up, guys, is another. Well, actually, the next two that I got was from Soundgarden, and this is a collector's edition from Scream Factory, and that is none other than Sleepwalkers, with this really great new sort of artwork that they did for the slipcover, which is really cool. And on the inside, the theatrical art that I switched over, not bad at all. Really nice art. I always like the theatrical art, guys. I'm always a sucker for it. And to be fair, I have been wanting this title for a while, or I've actually really been flip-flopping quite a bit. Like, there's some times where I'm like, I really want it, and there's other times where I'm like, do I really need it? And when I was at Soundgarden that day, I was just looking around at all the titles, and I saw Sleepwalkers, and I was like, oh my god, it's a really great price, and I looked on Amazon, and it was cheaper than Amazon, and it came with the slipcover, and the slipcover was in really great condition, and I'm like, man, it's really hard to pass up on, especially for a really good price. So I definitely took advantage of it in a big bad way. And I always really love, there's a quote here from Cinema Showcase that says, the most frightening Stephen King movie yet. Now, I always find that really funny because they say that about all the Stephen King movies, guys. The next Stephen King movie you'll see is like, it's the most terrifying Stephen King movie yet. Until the next Stephen King movie, and then that's the most terrifying one. Yeah, we get it. I gotta admit, this movie is kind of interesting and kind of cheesy and really fucking weird, man. It's basically about this mother and son, and they move to this new town, and he's kind of a little. He's got his quirks. He's kind of the sort of good-looking guy that the girls are into, and he starts flirting with this one girl and really likes her, and you figure, okay, it's really cool and everything, until you realize that he's not normal. His mother is not normal. And even though they're mother and son, they got some weird stuff going on together. And you realize that they're kind of like almost like these cat-like creatures that feed on people, and that they go from sort of town to town and have been doing this for quite a long time. And man, I will say this about Stephen King. He is one weird dude, man. Man, sometimes I sit there and I'm like, how does he come up with this stuff, man? Like, I know some of it back in the day was like he had heavy into drugs and like really drinking and psychedelic stuff, and sometimes I look at movies like Sleepwalkers and I'm like, dude, he must have had a crazy trip one night and he's right by the typewriter and suddenly his hands just start going and it's like cat-like creatures, small town, incest, it's just going, and then suddenly he turns it into his publisher, and the publisher's like, oh my god, Stephen, what the hell is this? And Stephen King is like, honestly, I can't even remember writing the fucker. he's like, cocaine's a hell of a drug. It's like, oh man, dude, this movie. I do admit this movie is fun, though. The movie is fun. I really do enjoy it quite a bit. It's got its cheesy moments. The makeup effects, are pretty good. I don't know if the movie takes itself seriously, because there's a lot of moments where the movie sort of makes fun of itself and sort of doesn't take itself all too seriously, and there's other times where it's very serious and you can feel the drama to it. It's sort of half and half. I really enjoyed the movie, but I know it's not for everybody. And it's interesting because this movie is directed by Mick Garris. And Mick Garris is a really interesting horror director that has directed a lot of great sort of Stephen King adaptations. And this is one that he did. And like I said, I thought he did a good job overall. I think it's a really decent horror film. I don't think it's going to be knocking on anybody's door as like their most favorite horror film of all time. But I think it's a pretty adequate horror film, to be honest with you. And also, one of the actresses I really got to talk about is Alice Krige, who plays the mother in here. And Alice Krige is great. I've always liked Alice Krige. She played one of the Borg Queens in Star Trek First Contact, and thought she was really awesome there. And she does a really great job here as well. Very menacing and dark, and I really like her quite a bit in this movie. It's not for everybody, and I don't even think it's going to rank up there with a lot of people's favorite Stephen King adaptations, to be honest with you. But I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was a pretty decent film. Like I said, I've been waiting to kind of put it in the collection and maybe not put it in the collection, but, I was at Soundgarden, and I was like, you know what, fuck it, man. It's for a great price, I'm just going to put it there. So, that's what I did, man. And you get a lot of really great special features here. You get a new audio commentary with Mick Garris and a couple of the actors, and they're very honest about this movie, to be honest with you. They're honest about how cheesy the film is and how ridiculous it is, and, the moments that they really enjoyed, and talking about being on set and everything. They understand. It's a fun commentary. You get new interviews from Mick Garris, some of the actors as well, special makeup effects creators, behind-the-scenes footage, theatrical trailer, TV spots, still galleries, a lot of really great special features. Screen Factory always does a really good job with their collector's editions overall, man, and this one is no exception. I'm glad I have it in the collection. As a lover of Stephen King, I can't say I really love all of the adaptations that have been from his books, but this one, from time to time, I do find myself wanting to watch it because it sort of tickles a fancy of mine that I really love of his work, which is some of the most weirdest and bizarre shit you can possibly imagine. It's not the best, it's certainly not the worst, it's average, but I enjoy it. Sleepwalkers. Then, the next title that I picked up, guys, is another Stephen King adaptation. It's a miniseries, and that is none other than The Stand, right here. Now, finding this at Soundgarden was really cool when I did, because when this got released, or the week that it was supposed to get released, I thought we were actually going to find it in the stores. I thought we were going to see it at Walmart and Target and Best Buy, and we saw it nowhere. Nobody had it. And so I was like, really? Like a Stephen King adaptation? Stephen King's really hot right now, and you would think everybody would have it, but nobody did. And so I was really kind of just frustrated. I was like, oh, come on, man, nobody has it? And I just was thought to myself, God, I'm gonna have to order this through Amazon, and I know the slipcover is gonna be completely damaged, and I was just ready to just give up. And then finding it at Soundgarden was really great. Again, I was not really expecting it at all. I'm so glad that I got it. And you want to know what, man? This movie is very interesting. It's basically like a post-apocalyptic movie. There was like biological warfare, and the world turned into an apocalypse, and now it's just these people trying to survive. And it's about survival, and just going against one another, and who can you trust, and I really enjoy this. It's been so long since I watched it, guys. I'm not gonna lie, because when I picked it up, I was like, God, I really wanted to revisit this thing, anyways. And I think for the most part, it still holds up. I think the acting is really good here. I mean, I'm just looking at the people here. You got Rob Lowe, Ray Walston, Ozzie Davis, Molly Ringwald, Gary Sinise, Corin Nemec. I mean, there's a lot of really great cast here, man, and I think all of them do a really good job. And it's kind of interesting because I think it's a good adaptation. The Stand is a very long book, so it's kind of the things that they leave out and the things that they keep in. Mind you, it's been a long time since I've even read the Stand book, so it's been quite a long time since I've ever done that, guys. So some of the stuff I even forget, but I really enjoyed this one. I had a good time with it. It's been such a long time since I watched it. I really wanted to revisit it anyways. And being a Stephen King fan, this one was always one that I always remembered. It was one of those miniseries events that was like very like hyped up at the time, and I'm so glad that they actually put it out on Blu-ray, because I never thought this thing would ever get a Blu-ray release. I thought The Stand, of all things, a miniseries event from like the 90s, would never get a release, but I'm glad it did, honestly. And I think they're actually going to be doing a remake of The Stand at some point, like a movie or another miniseries of it. And I'm kind of interested to see what they'll do with that, how it'll be like the book and maybe like this. And I'm kind of curious where the differences and the similarities will be. I'm curious when that hits at some point. But I was really happy with this one, guys. I really liked it quite a bit. And it's not something I'll revisit all the time, but it's nice as a fan of Stephen King to have this in the collection for sure. I love the artwork, man. I think the artwork's great here with the crow and everything, and there's a lot of really great things. What I always really love about Stephen King also that I didn't really mention to you guys is that basically he has this whole shared universe in his books. Like characters that are from one book or something will delve into another book and vice versa, and there's things in here that are in other sort of books and everything, and characters that sort of carry on in other things. Like I said, at the time when they made this, there was no sort of shared universe in anything, so to be honest with you, they never really saw the potential in it. But maybe in a future sort of Stand movie and everything, we may see certain crossover stuff, maybe at some point. But yeah, this is still very good, and I really did enjoy it quite a bit, guys. You do get here audio commentary and the making of Stephen King's The Stand, which is just your basic sort of making of thing, but it's actually not bad. I really did enjoy it quite a bit, and like I said, not every Stephen King adaptation is honestly created equal. I'm not gonna lie, guys. There's certain ones that are really shitty, and there's other ones that are not bad, and there's other ones that are really excellent. Where does The Stand come in? I think The Stand is pretty decent overall, man. It's not, gonna blow you away, but I think it's still pretty adequate. And revisiting it, I really enjoyed it quite a bit, man. So I do really highly recommend The Stand, guys. Especially if you're a Stephen King lover, definitely recheck it out or check it out for the first time, guys. I don't think you'll be disappointed. The Stand. And the next title that I got, guys, is one of the new releases for October and a 4K pickup at that, and that is Spider-Man Far From Home, which really great. I really love the cover here, man. I really love it quite a bit of like half sort of Spider-Man costume, half sort of Night Monkey costume, which is really cool. The backside has, of course, sort of him and sort of the Iron Man mural in the background, which looks really great. And on the inside as well, you get completely different artwork on the 4K as well, which basically this was the artwork on the Blu-ray, if I'm not mistaken, but it was cool to have this artwork on the inside for the 4K. So you have this artwork here and this artwork on the inside, so you really get honestly the best of both worlds. So that's really awesome as well, man. And you know what, man? I really dug this movie in the theater. I really did. And you know, Spider-Man in the MCU has been quite the ride. It really has. First seeing him in Civil War, and then getting his own movie, Homecoming, and how much I really love that movie. And then seeing him in the Avengers stuff, and then this movie, Spider-Man has really made a really nice niche for himself in the MCU. And I've really liked Tom Holland quite a bit. I'll always have a soft spot in my heart for Tobey Maguire, because Tobey Maguire, for me, he was sort of the first on-screen Spider-Man that I can honestly say that I really connected with. But that being said, I think Tom Holland really nails both Peter Parker and Spider-Man perfectly. And with this movie, it takes place. Well, okay, look, spoilers for Avengers Endgame. It takes place 5 years after the snap happened. At the end of Avengers Endgame, they get all the people back that got snapped away, but 5 years later, so a lot of things have changed, and the world has changed, and now a lot of these people have to get used to how the world is now compared to what it was. And a lot of these people who were in high school and everything, they're still in high school 5 years later, because of course they never graduated. So Peter Parker is back now, dealing with that, dealing with the death of Iron Man, who was one of his mentors, and just trying to cope with life and cope with the responsibilities, and just budding new love, and just trying to be a hero and what it means to be a hero, and stepping up into responsibility. And I really enjoy this movie quite a bit, man. I really do. I think the action here is amazing. I think the action is fantastic here. Like I said, I really love Tom Holland, but I also really love Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio, man, because it's kind of interesting, because Spider-Man has a really great rogues gallery of villains. I mean, he really does. And so they could have picked really almost any villain they wanted. But I'm really glad they chose somebody that not only was not in any other Spider-Man movie yet, but somebody that you're like, okay, this is not easy to pull off. If they do it badly, then it's gonna be really bad. But if they pull it off, then it's gonna be executed really well. And I thought they did a great job here. I love the look of Mysterio. I love how they really connect Mysterio to Tony Stark and previous MCU films, and I like that connection that they have, and I think it's really cool. I love everybody in here. I thought everybody does a really fantastic job acting wise. Like I said, the action is great. The CGI is awesome here. I think it's a really well done, well made MCU movie. And as far as I'm concerned, this is the beginning of Phase 4. Avengers Endgame is the end of Phase 3. This is the beginning of Phase 4. And at the end of this movie, and I won't really give it away, but at the end of this movie, it opens up the doors for so many possibilities to where the next Spider-Man film can go. And, I was so worried for such a long time when it looked like we weren't going to get another Spider-Man film in the MCU, and it looked like everything had broken down Thankfully, that's not the case. We are going to get another MCU Spider-Man film. We are going to do that. They are gonna continue this with Tom Holland, and I can't wait to see where it goes next, guys. Because you know, Spider-Man is one of the most treasured superheroes in all of Marvel. It really honestly is. And sometimes some of these adaptations that have happened with Spider-Man, I don't think has always really done the character justice. But I really feel that the MCU has taken the Spider-Man character and really made something really fantastic out of it. And so I really want to see this continue in a big bad way. And I can't wait for the next one, guys. I really can. I think it's going to be really awesome. So consider me a huge fan of this. Do I think it's as good as Spider-Man Homecoming? I don't know. I kind of like Spider-Man Homecoming just a little bit more. I really love Michael Keaton in that movie, and it was just the hype of seeing him in his very first MCU film. I think that has a sort of a great place in my heart. So, I mean, this is still a really great film, and it's high up there for me. It's still really, really great, guys. And I think the movie looks really great in 4K, to be honest with you. And you get a lot of really great stuff here. You get a lot of Blu-ray exclusives here, a lot of really great featurettes. Talking about the making of it and the Easter eggs and everything like that. You get cast bloopers, deleted scenes, all new short film as well. So not bad special features here. Could have been a little bit more like a whole sort of making of documentary, but hey, you know what? We rarely nowadays ever get like big, like huge new release Blu-ray documentaries, so I sort of go with whatever we get. But honestly, though, I really did enjoy this movie quite a bit, man. And honestly, wherever they take Spider-Man next, I'm definitely gonna follow, guys. I'm gonna be there for sure. And this one is definitely gonna be a great one for the collection, guys. Not bad at all, especially if you're a Spider-Man fan and an MCU lover. Pretty good pickup to me, man. Spider-Man: Far From Home. Then the next title I picked up is a 4K upgrade in the collection, and that is none other than Gremlins right here with this really great cover, man. I really like this cover quite a bit. The yellow and him sort of sitting on the logo really innocently, and sort of the gremlin hands there as well. You know, I gotta admit, man, Gremlins is such a fun movie to watch. It really is. It's a great sort of monster movie. It's a great sort of holiday Christmas movie, because it's definitely a holiday Christmas movie for sure, guys. On top of that, it's just a really great devious film of just like what would happen if you had this creature that could, if you feed it after midnight, if you end up, putting water on it at a certain time, if you do this, if you do that, like these little things are gonna pop, they're gonna pop out of its back, and suddenly they're just gonna grow into these weird looking, messed up mogwai creature motherfuckers, and they're just gonna start terrorizing the entire town. And Gremlins is so fun. It really honestly is. It's a time when it was such a really great time for practical effects and creature effects, and you could make a wholesome movie like this completely terrifying, and I think they do a great job with this, man. I really love this. To the effects, to sort of the slightly blood and gore that we get at times. I think the characters are really fun, and I think you really get to know them, and I think you really get to care about them quite a bit. This is such a classic, dude. I mean, anything that's ever been said about this movie, everybody's spot on. It's a great film, and it honestly is, man. I think that I think that Gizmo is friggin' stinking cute, man. He is stinking cute as well. And I think everybody, when they saw this the first time, I think they were always like, "Oh, can I get a Mogwai?" Not realizing that Mogwais aren't real, and you're just gonna have to buy the toy. And thank God they're not real, because let's be honest, man. If you were a kid back in the day and you wanted a Mogwai, you would have fucked up, dude. You would have fucked up. You would have fed it after midnight. You would have put water on it. You would have done something. And Lord knows, Gremlins would be running the fucking world right now, dude. We'd all be screwed if Mogwais were real, man. I don't trust us with anything like this. We would have all fucked it up. But I consider this a really fun movie, man, and it's a goddamn classic. And it's a goddamn classic for a reason, man. It's just a really great movie. Steven Spielberg presents, and I remember back in the day when Steven Spielberg presents, like that was a huge thing. Like anytime he presented a film, like he was a producer for it and everything, everybody flocked to it because Steven Spielberg's name was like cachet, man. It was like gold. You were like, okay, okay, we know what we're gonna get. We're gonna get quality here, and this was definitely one of those great quality items of a movie that has stood the test of time, and rightfully so, man. It honestly is worth it. And you get here quite a bit, man. You get, footage not seen in theaters. You get, an old school commentary track. You get theatrical trailers. You get a few things here, and of course, I think the picture quality, by the way, is really phenomenal, guys. I think they do a really great job with the 4K upgrade. I used to have, actually, this release right here. I used to have this one, the DVD, the special edition one here. And I know they came out with a Blu-ray release a while back of Gremlins, but I heard a lot of really bad things about that release, that the picture quality was really crappy and it wasn't really worth it. And so I was hoping at some point there would be another edition to come out, and I'm really happy to say that this edition did, and I am really happy with this edition quite a bit, man. I mean, I always wanted to upgrade the collection and get rid of my DVD, and now it's here. Would I have loved the theatrical art? Yeah, because on the other side here, all you get is this. You don't really get the theatrical art. I would have loved to have had the theatrical art here, but look, you get great picture quality and great special features, and honestly, it's worth it for the upgrade, at least for me. 4K quality over the DVD. I think the picture quality looks great, and I'll definitely take it, guys. So for me, I really did enjoy this one quite a bit, guys. I thought it was really good, and definitely worth your time checking out. I think the 4K is worth it. If you can find it for a great price, definitely do it. And if you haven't watched it, this is one of those must-see classics that you definitely have to get up on for sure, guys. I think you'll really enjoy it. I definitely love it. It's a childhood favorite, and one that I definitely think you guys should get into in a big bad way. Gremlins. And the next pickup that I got, guys, is actually another 4K upgrade for the collection, and it's one that I was definitely interested to get in the collection, especially this one, because I was definitely anticipating in a big bad way. And that is Stanley Kubrick's The Shining right here. Yeah, with this really great sort of cover, sort of the iconic imagery of Jack Nicholson with the axe there, but sort of inside there, sort of the hotel and everything, and sort of Danny and everything. Really great, man. And on the inside is the same artwork as well here, too. And, everything that has been said about this movie is honestly the truth, man. It is one of the best horror movies of all time. It's a classic. The performances are so terrifying and believable. It's very atmospheric. It's creepy. The imagery is so iconic and so sort of ingrained in your brain, man. It really is one of those movies that you could show certain iconic moments or certain imagery, and people would instantly know what kind of movie that you're talking about. It's one of those movies that has really sort of, I think, raised the horror genre in really wonderful ways and really gave it this sort of classic status in a lot of ways. And another Stephen King adaptation as well. And, I remember when I saw this movie when I was a teen years ago, and I just was so terrified by it, and I was confused by it, and I was like, this movie is so, like, gets under my skin, of this guy that is just like he's slowly losing his mind, and he's like slowly being consumed by this hotel, and going after his family, and how they have to survive this, and how Danny has this power that that is very special, and people are trying to protect him, and I just thought there was so much to this movie, and so much stuff to this movie that is really unexplained, that you don't really need to know certain explanations. You just sort of go along for the ride. And it's just great, man. I mean, Jack Nicholson is so iconic here. Stanley Kubrick. This is definitely, honestly, one of Stanley Kubrick's best directed films of all time. I truly, honestly believe that, guys. And it's honestly an adaptation of Stephen King's work that Stephen King doesn't even like. Stephen King doesn't like this movie. He's come out and said it time and time again how much he really hates this movie, guys. Which is kind of weird to me because I thought Stanley Kubrick took a lot of the best elements from the story and took stuff that really didn't need to be in there and really made something very iconic and unique. And I think when you're somebody like Stephen King who really loves your certain book and really loves what you do with it, you don't want somebody to take your work, and in some ways I can see how he feels like maybe he butchered it in some ways. I don't see it as that, but Stephen King, I can see where he's coming from in a lot of ways, but I do disagree with him. This movie is so iconic and so wonderful, and it's a movie that has spawned so many like different conspiracy theories. And if you guys end up, there's a great documentary out there called Room 237, if I'm not mistaken, and it goes into some crazy conspiracy theories about the moon landing and things about like the mafia and all kinds of stuff, because certain iconic imagery from the movie definitely kind of inspired people's sort of thoughts about, oh my god, JFK assassination and all kinds of stuff. And it's sort of wild how people come up with stuff. It really is, man. But I thought honestly that this movie is really honestly wonderful, and it really is, dare I say, easily in the top 10 of some of the best horror films of all time. And it deserves to be there in a big bad way, man. And I have to admit that the 4K here looks absolutely stunning. It looks beautiful. I really love the picture quality in this so much. It really is amazing, to be sure, guys. And a lot of special features here. You get commentary. You get a documentary from Vivian Kubrick, which was Stanley Kubrick's wife, about the making of The Shining, with optional commentary, some featurettes as well. This is a movie that is really has not only stood the test of time, but has really sort of spawned people's imaginations. It has really sort of been a part of the zeitgeist for so long. I mean, I know we got Doctor Sleep, which is the sequel to The Shining. And by the way, guys, we will be putting out a review for Doctor Sleep very soon, so definitely keep a lookout for that one as well. And, no matter whether the sequel works or not, this movie is always going to be what it is. And this movie is never going to go out of style. I actually did have the Blu-ray of The Shining, which the great sort of Jack Nicholson, like, kind of that has that great sort of moment there. And I've always really loved this Blu-ray, and I've had it for a really long time. But when they announced the 4K, I couldn't pass this up, man. I really couldn't. I would have liked to have seen theatrical art on the inside, but outside of that, just like with the Gremlins thing, I really can't complain because the 4K is great. You have great extras in here, and if you're a lover of The Shining, then this really is worth picking up because it's a really great upgrade. Not every 4K upgrade is worth it, and I've said that to you guys all the time, but this one definitely is, guys. And I think it's really well worth it. And really, just if you're a huge fan of Stanley Kubrick or Jack Nicholson or Stephen King, then this is something definitely you got to get up on in a big bad way, guys. So well worth it. The Shining. Then the next pickup that I got is a release from AGFA. And, it kind of looked really interesting at the time, and so I wanted to give it a chance, and that is Scary Movie right here. Scary Movie from 1991 with this really great artwork right here, which I really like. I don't know whether that was the VHS artwork or the theatrical artwork. I'm not really sure, but I really do like it with him holding the gun, sort of terrified and everything. I really like that quite a bit. Now, this movie is about Warren, played by John Hawkes, who goes to this sort of Halloween carnival with his friends, and he is such the scaredy cat, man. He really is terrified of almost anything. People are making fun of him. He's sort of the nerd, and he just can't catch a break. And that night during the carnival, there's sort of a breakout of this mental patient who has killed people, and there's rumor that he is coming to the carnival. Not only has he come to the carnival, but he's there and he's inside one of the rides where Warren is, and Warren can't get out, and he has to try to survive this sort of mental patient serial killer type of dude, and try to overcome his fears. And it's a movie that I've never heard of, but I really wanted to pick it up. And I really like AGFA quite a bit because they're a company that does these really weird and unique releases that I don't think anybody ever really knows much about. A few Blu-ray pickups back, I picked up Take It Out and Trade, that Ed Wood film, which I had never heard of before. And that's the beauty of AGFA. They just put out these weird, bizarre, obscure films. And this is definitely one of them. But I really like this one quite a bit. I think John Hawkes is really awesome here. He plays scared, he plays terrified, he plays confident, he plays losing his mind. He does really well with this role. And there's moments when I'm watching this movie, especially towards the end, when I really got like Evil Dead vibes off of this movie. Like the way they shot certain scenes and the camera angles, and I was like, wow, like they were definitely influenced by Evil Dead in a big bad way, man. I really like that, and I really liked how it subverted your expectations, because I'm not gonna spoil it for you guys, but the ending of the movie I never saw coming. I really didn't. Like when the ending happens the way that it does, I was like, huh. I'm like, it almost makes you want to go back and rewatch it because you just didn't see any of that coming. And I really liked that quite a bit. I thought that was really cool, man. And it was really inventive. And it's one of those sort of more low budget indie films before John Hawkes was sort of John Hawkes and really famous and well known. It's low budget horror, but I think it's low budget horror that works. It's relatable characters. It's you get to know Warren, you get to feel for Warren. You're in this crazy sort of fun house area where he's trying to survive. There's a lot of cool imagery here and cool kills and some blood and gore stuff. It worked. It's not the best indie horror film you're ever gonna see, but honestly, guys, I thought it was pretty effective. And I've always told you guys that there's a lot of really great horror films from the 90s that really get overlooked because the 80s were so good, and I feel like the 90s sort of is one of those underrated decades for horror films that really needs to be reevaluated, and movies like Scary Movie are ones that I think really do have to be reappreciated by people again. And you're gonna look at Scary Movie and you're gonna be like, oh, that one with Anna Faris and everything. No. Get that out of your head. Scary Movie, this one, definitely look it up, guys. If you're a fan of indie horror, especially stuff from the 90s, definitely give this one a look by far. It's not bad, honestly. It's pretty decent. You do get here a commentary with the director, and you get some short films and original theatrical trailer, some decent special features. Not bad, guys, but I am telling you, man, it is one of those little obscure gems that you may not have heard of, but definitely give a chance to, guys. Not half bad. I wanted to give it a chance, and I'm glad I did. It was a blind buy, but it's a blind buy that I actually really enjoyed. Not bad, man. Scary Movie. And the next pickup that I got, guys, is a Blu-ray from Mondo Macabro, and you guys know how I really love picking up stuff from them from time to time. I really love some of their unique releases, man. And this one looked really interesting, and that is The Killer of Dowels, right here, with this really great cover right here with sort of a Dowels mask and sort of almost like like a doctor's instrument over like sort of the mask and everything, which is really cool. However, there is also a lot of other stuff that comes with this. You do get reversible art as well, which has this artwork right here, which is not bad. I do like this artwork quite a bit, but I wanted to pick this one. I thought it was a little more unique. Now, this is actually a limited edition release, limited to 800, and my number that I got was 438, I believe that is, and I believe that this limited edition is all sold out, so unfortunately you guys cannot grab it, but they do have a standard edition that is coming, I believe, so definitely keep a lookout for that one, guys. And you also get, with this release as well, you end up getting a booklet in here as well, right here, which has various sort of pictures and articles about the making of the movie as well. So, some cool stuff that you get from Mondo Macabro, guys. And let's get into Killer of Dowels. Now, this movie is about Paul. And Paul is a disgraced medical student. He got kicked out of medical school because he just cannot stand the sight of blood. And when he gets back to his hometown, helping out as a gardener, there's all these killings that are going on around his town. And you don't really know whether it's him doing them or somebody else that, is trying to possibly, maybe blame him for them, or whether it's all in his head. You're sort of going on this journey with Paul, and Paul's also trying to sort of figure out, his past and come to grips with this stuff, and all the while sort of dealing with these killings that are going on. It's a very fascinating and interesting sort of Spanish horror film. And that's what I really love about Mondo Macabro, is that they really go out of their way to put out some really unique and interesting sort of foreign horror films that you really have never heard of before. And Killer of Dowels was one of them. I remember when they announced it and I saw a trailer for it, I'm like, this sounds really interesting and really unique, and something I definitely wanted to give a chance to. I really love, some of the influences in here. You can definitely feel that this movie is influenced by Hitchcock in a big bad way. On top of that, I really love sort of Paul, because Paul is such a unique and interesting character, because the actor who's playing him is very, very effeminate. You can tell that he has a very, very effeminate sort of look to him, and the way he sort of walks and the way he acts, but at the same time, he is interested in girls, and there's sort of a dichotomy of maybe him fighting his sort of gender influences, and there is stuff in this movie, I don't want to give it away, that maybe pertains to that, but I don't want to even go there, because I definitely want you guys to check this movie out. I really love the killing here. I really love the characters. I really love how Paul sort of evolves as a character, being this very meek and sort of unassuming guy, to becoming more threatening and more imposing and more harmful to people. I really like it quite a bit. You can see, like I said, you can see influences of Hitchcock here in a big bad way, especially with Psycho. And I'm gonna point out Psycho in a big bad way, because I think this movie is heavily influenced by Psycho. Down to the whole idea of a guy maybe dressing up as a girl, and the idea of, sort of gender confusion, I would say. On top of that, I think that this movie definitely influenced something like Silence of the Lambs. I look at this movie and I'm like, wow, Silence of the Lambs took quite a bit from this film as well. This movie seemed to have influenced certain films after it came out, and this movie was definitely influenced by films before it. It's a very interesting Spanish horror film, and I don't have a lot of Spanish horror in my collection. There's only a few that I have, and a lot of those did come from Mondo Macabro. I really enjoy this one quite a bit, guys. I really did. I can't say that I love this film so much, like it's the best Spanish horror film, but I can see the influences. I really love the characters here, and I really like the story because the story reminded me a lot of Hitchcock stuff that I've loved in the past. So, when it reminds me of stuff like Hitchcock, then it really does kind of like bring me back to sort of movies that I loved in the past, and that reminder sort of made me love this movie even more. So I really did enjoy this one. I thought it was really great. I love sort of how they play around with the concept of dowels and how they play around with the concept of how your childhood influences who you will become, and that your parents really are the foundation of who you are, and when they screw you up, then you are screwed up for life. So I really like that quite a bit, and I just thought it was just such a fascinating movie, man. I really did enjoy it quite a bit. I had a lot of fun with this one. You get here an exclusive interview with the actor who played Paul, and he really is a very sort of interesting sort of talking about this movie, talking about where he was in his life, sort of the look that he had to do for the film becoming more thin and for very very effeminate like. Very interesting audio, well, not audio, exclusive interview. You also get audio commentaries as well, the exclusive booklet, and previews for other Mondo Macabro releases. This is a really interesting Spanish horror film, man, and what I feel like with a lot of these great foreign horror films over the years is that I feel like, there's a lot of really great stuff here in the States, but I always find that a lot of the foreign stuff really is very unique, and it's stuff that I think a lot of people pass by because either they don't know it or because maybe in a lot of ways they just don't want to give it a chance because they don't want to give a lot of old school movies a chance from the 70s or stuff like that. But movies like this, you can see the influences from previous filmmakers and future filmmakers, and I just really love the style that they did this film in, man. Not every horror film from sort of Mexico or Spanish influences is good, I'll be honest, but this one I really enjoyed, guys. Give this one a chance. I don't think you will be disappointed. The Killer of Dowels. They have that, and my next pickup, I also have an archive collection release, and I have been wanting this for a little while, guys, and finally got it in perfect condition, but I'll explain that to you in a moment, and that is The Witches. And oh man, do I love The Witches, guys. I think this is a great goddamn horror movie. A great horror movie for kids, but this release came out, dare I say, July or August, somewhere around there, and I ordered it on Amazon. And there was a delay, whether they could get copies or they couldn't get copies, and they had to wait to get more, maybe. Then when it finally shipped to me, it was damaged really badly. The case was so messed up. And I decided I was going to order another one from Amazon. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna, send this back and get another one and hopefully it goes good. And then that one got delayed. And then when I finally got the second copy from Amazon, that was damaged as well. And so I was really pissed off, man. I was furious. And I was like, well, I could do one of two things. I could order again from Amazon and hope to God that I don't get a damaged case and just have to deal with the whole thing over and over again, or I can just order directly from Warner Archive, and yes, I'm going to pay a little bit more, but I am pretty damn guaranteed that it's going to come in good condition. And it came in good condition. So live and learn, guys. I love Amazon to death, but boy, they really do not package their stuff in a good way at all, and they really need to get better at that, man, because if they don't, people like me are just going to send stuff back because I just don't like having to deal with, stuff that comes damaged in the mail. I really can't stand it, man. But that out of the way, man, I really have to say The Witches is really fun and really fantastic, man. I remember watching this when I was a kid, okay? And this terrified the hell out of me, man. Angelica Houston is so awesome in here. Basically, it's about these sort of witches who, they sort of have this meeting and they get sort of spied on by these kids, and they turn these kids into like mouses, and it's all about sort of the kids having to sort of get revenge on the witches and stop them from their evil plans. And dude, I love this movie so goddamn much. I really honestly do. This is one of those movies where it's it's great for kids, but it also scares the living crap out of them. And it's one of those great movies where you're like, never talk to strangers, never talk to these people, because you really don't know who you're dealing with. The person across from you could easily be a witch, and you know, you better be careful of what you do, and you better listen to your parents, or you will be turned into a mouse. I love this movie so much, man. I love the imagery here. I love the performances of the people playing the witches, you know, all kind of evil and sinister and creepy and menacing, and they're just having a ball, man. They're just having a fun time with these roles, man. I love the makeup effects here as well. You can kind of see a little bit of the makeup effects here, but man, I love the makeup effects so much. They look so fantastic and really unique. And again, this was a really great time in cinema where you had, you know, you didn't have the CGI. You had the sort of makeup effects that really made it look like these people were really being turned into mice, and people taking off their hair and their skin and turning into weird looking, disgusting and crusty witches. And oh my god, man, this was fun. This was great, man. They don't make them like this anymore. They really don't make movies like The Witches anymore. They really don't, man. That's why I love movies like this, because I know that movies like this, they can't get replicated again. They really can't. Like, my childhood was great. With movies like The Witches, I had a great childhood. Yeah, I was terrified out of my mind sometimes, but boy, the memories that I have of great movies like this really just sort of made me love cinema and made me sort of love these sort of creatures and these effects. And, I love this movie so goddamn much, guys. I really can't say enough great things about this. This movie is really awesome. And even the artwork, dude. The artwork is so classic, man. Look at that art, man. Oh, God. This movie is so wonderful and so fun, and I'm so glad it got a Blu-ray release, because I never thought The Witches was ever going to get a Blu-ray release, man. I mean, the unfortunate thing is we don't get any special features here, and I would have loved to have seen special features for this. A new making-of featurette, or an audio commentary, or something would have been cool. But you want to know what, guys? I honestly can't complain, because to have this on Blu-ray is so wonderful. To have this in the collection, I thought I would never have this in the collection. So the fact that I have an opportunity to hold this in my hand is amazing. There is a lot of really great kids movies out there that are really sinister and really great, and just really just sort of creep your kids out, but they will remember this movie for a lifetime. And this is one of those movies, man. I really love this movie so goddamn much, and I think you will too. Definitely get up on this, guys. It's great. Order from Warner Archive Collection, because if you order from Amazon, you might get a damaged copy, guys. Definitely give it a chance. This is really great, man. I love this movie so goddamn much. Hope you're with me. The Witches. And the next pickup that I got, guys, is a recent horror film and a Rob Zombie directed horror film. I think you guys pretty much know what I got, and that is 3 from Hell. Yes, guys, I picked up the Blu-ray DVD digital, and you know, I saw this movie at a Fathom event screening with Bob and John. We also did a spoiler review for you. You can catch it on the movie review playlist, and I really like the film. In order to talk about this, we really got to talk about Rob Zombie for a second, because I used to, and in fact, I still am in a lot of ways. I still really like a lot of Rob Zombie's music. I used to listen to White Zombie. I listened to a lot of the Rob Zombie solo efforts. And to me, I really thought his music was really good. I really liked a lot of his sort of rock music that he was making at the time. And when I heard he was going to be doing a horror movie, I got really excited, because Rob Zombie's a horror guy. He has a lot of horror influences. I kind of big in horror movies, as you guys can obviously tell, so I was excited for it. And I think it was around 99, 2000 when I really saw, I think, the first poster, and even the first trailer for House of a Thousand Corpses. And at that time, it was supposed to be distributed by Universal Studios, and that never happened. They ended up not, you know, not putting out the film, and there was a lot of controversy behind it. And in order to promote it once it went to Lionsgate, there was this whole thing of like, well, we're releasing the film that Universal thought was too disturbing and gory and bloody, and we're putting out Rob Zombie's first effort. And I got really excited, man. I really honestly did. I wasn't able to watch it in the theater because at the time I don't think my mother was gonna let me watch it. So I I wasn't able to see it then, but I ended up seeing it a while later, and I really loved House of a Thousand Corpses, man. I thought it was a really great throwback to something like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I really loved the characters, people like Otis and Baby and Spaulding and the Firefly family, and to me, I just loved sort of the creature effects and the blood and the gore, and I just fell in love with his movie. I thought it was awesome, and it was one that didn't make a lot of money, but I think it found an audience over time. And around 5 or 6 years later, he did another one, which obviously was The Devil's Rejects. And I remember the hype going for The Devil's Rejects at that time. I saw The Devil's Rejects in the movie theater in 2005 with Bob. We were sitting in the theater watching that film. It seemed like just yesterday we were watching it, but it's been, like, God, I hate to say, like, practically like 15 years. It's ridiculous, to be honest with you. And there was a lot of hype of, okay, he did House of a Thousand Corpses, he's coming back with this gritty sequel, and it was so amazing. It blew our minds. Bob and I were sitting there saying, this thing is amazing. Rob Zombie did such an amazing job. He took House of a Thousand Corpses and those characters, and he switched it into this sort of 70s style revenge horror film, and it worked so well, man. And I thought, Rob Zombie could do no wrong. Rob Zombie could literally do no wrong at all. He's perfect. House of a Thousand Corpses is great. Devil's Rejects is great. He's awesome. And then something happened. He did the Halloween remake, and I watched it, and I thought, God, this is really not that good, man. It's a really a waste of his talents, and I thought that there was really no need for this remake anyways, and the angle that he went about going for the movie, sort of, Michael Myers coming from white trash, and, him being, much more brutal and really kind of like almost like a bum in a lot of ways. I didn't like that take. I didn't like what he did with that movie, and I was like, okay, well, he's not good at this one, but the other two are great. And then he did Halloween 2, and Halloween 2, oh man, I have honestly yet to seen anybody who absolutely really loves that movie. I have seen nobody yet who has really loved him. I know there's people out there. I haven't met any of them, to be honest with you. Because I remember getting a copy of the movie from John, and John gave me a disc, and he said, "You watch this. It's not good. It's really bad, but watch it." And I did, and I was like, "This thing is really terrible, man." The whole thing with the white horse and the dreams, and it just the kills. I didn't like the kills. I didn't like again how they went the way with Michael Myers in that one. I just was like, this thing is really rough, man. It really is. And so I was like, God, it's really not good, dude. He's not doing a great job here. And then he made some other efforts. I mean, he did a couple more movies that I really didn't care for. I just thought that maybe Rob Zombie was one of those sort of, I wouldn't say one-trick ponies, but maybe he's one of those guys that had a really great idea, did two really solid movies, and then that's it. Rob's not really, meant to do this. It was a cool thing, but it's really maybe not for him. And I lost a lot of faith in Rob Zombie, and I know a lot of people like some of those other films in Rob's career. I know they do. Um, I can't say I'm a fan of him. I'm really not. 31, I'm really not a fan of. It's okay, but it's not great. And his other stuff, I mean, Lords of Salem. I saw Lords of Salem in the theater, guys, and Lords of Salem is a real dog of a movie, dude. It is. It really is, man. Everybody in my theater, including Bob, John, and I, we all laughed our asses off at this movie, and it's not intentional. The movie's not trying to be funny. We laughed at it because it was that bad, dude. I mean, again, I know some of you guys really like it, and I'm sorry, but I gotta be honest with you guys. I just really didn't care for it. And so, Three from Hell got announced, and he was doing it, and I thought to myself, I don't know if I'm really gonna get into this movie, man. I mean, I don't really find Rob Zombie as good of a director as I used to, and it's great that he's going back to these characters, but does he really need to go back to the well? And so, the first trailer came out, and I was like, okay, this looks good. It looks good. I'm still not 100% sold, but I'm gonna check this out. And once I saw the movie, I really recognized how really great this film is. And that it's back to basics for Rob Zombie. It's back to him getting to these characters that he loves, and you can clearly see it in the movie. Basically, this movie takes place sometime after The Devil's Rejects. And at the end of Devil's Rejects, it's pretty obvious that those guys are dead, man. I mean, they're getting shot up like Swiss cheese. They're pretty much gone. And this film picks up saying, hey man, there's 1 in a million chance that they're going to survive. But guess what? They did survive. That 1 in a million chance, they actually got it. They're in prison, and they eventually escape with help, and they go on another rampage that only the Fireflies know how to do. I thought it was really good. I really loved seeing Otis again, and Baby, and Spaulding, and bringing in other people like Richard Brake, who I thought really did a great job as another sort of sibling in the Firefly family. It's cool seeing an older version of Baby. It's cool seeing Sherry Moon Zombie still doing this role and sort of progressing with each iteration of Baby. The same with Bill Moseley. Bill Moseley really, this is one of my favorite characters of Bill Moseley's. He digs into a role like this. He's funny, he's charismatic, he's dangerous, he's creepy. He gives off a lot of really great vibes. He does great as Otis, and even seeing Spaulding in here, because Sid Haig at this point, and I really felt bad for Rob Zombie, because Sid Haig was supposed to be one of the main 3 in here. He was supposed to go along throughout most of the movie, and what happened is that Rob visited him one day, and he was just really in the poorest of health, and Rob is like, I can't have Sid doing all of these things in the movie. He won't physically be able to do it. I can't. And he even wasn't even supposed to have Sid Haig on set, because apparently the insurance company wouldn't insure Sid Haig on the set because he was so ill, so they had to sneak Sid Haig on set just to have him film that sort of 5-minute stuff that he did towards the beginning of the movie. And I'm so happy that he did it, because it's sad to see that happen, but at least Rob still wanted to preserve that. But I thought Richard Brake really taking that sort of lead and being part of the family, I thought that was a really great addition. I really love the sort of kills. I really love some of the blood and gore in this film. And I really love sort of the mayhem that they do here. I really honestly do. I think it's tough to say where this ranks, because I really love The Devil's Rejects and The House of a Thousand Corpses. I think this movie is a nice complement to those. Do I think it's the best out of the trilogy? No, I probably think it's the weakest out of the trilogy, but I still really appreciate it. Does this movie need to be made? No, it doesn't, because Devil's Rejects ends in a really nice way, but I like the continuation of the adventures with the family, and I really like what Rob Zombie did with them. And I feel that these are the best movies of Rob Zombie's career. But things like House of Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects, Three from Hell, they're movies that you feel he's really passionate about. He loves these characters, he loves playing with these actors in this world, And if he only did these type of movies, I would be okay with that, man. I love Rob Zombie doing these type of films, and I think he went back to being himself as a filmmaker, and I really do appreciate that in a big bad way. I honestly do, guys. You know, this movie, not everybody was big on this movie. A lot of people were like, it's a lesser movie, it's not as good, he should have stopped at Devil's Rejects. Why, Rob? Why? I mean, I left the theater really liking this movie, and I was prepared to not like it, guys. The same with John and Bob. I think we left the theater feeling very hopeful. Not saying we're gonna go back and watch the lesser Rob Zombie movies, but the fact that I think, we feel like at least Rob found a really nice niche here and really took advantage of it, and I'm really glad that this movie got made. It's nice seeing another adventure with the Firefly family. It honestly is, guys. I think it's really good, and I give Rob Zombie a lot of credit. It's back to form, at least in my opinion. You do get To Hell and Back, The Making of Three from Hell, which is a four-part documentary. It's on the Blu-ray only here, and I have to admit, guys, that this is a great four-part documentary. They don't make documentaries like this anymore. The last really great one I saw was For the Devil's Reject, which is like a 2+ hour documentary, which was so good, man. It delved into so much different aspects of the production and the writing and the acting, and this does the same thing, man. And I really love these documentaries that Rob does, and I hope to see more like that in the future. They don't make them like this anymore. They really don't. And there's an audio commentary, and Rob's always really great with his audio commentaries. He's really honest and forthcoming and really talks about the difficulties of making this movie, and I really appreciate his honesty in a big bad way. I'm not the biggest fan of Rob Zombie a lot of times, guys. I've sort of lessened my love for Rob Zombie over the years. But seeing movies like this, I feel the passion, and I feel like he loves these characters and he loves diving into this world, and that's why I appreciate these movies, and I appreciate Rob Zombie as a filmmaker when he makes these type of movies. I don't know what Rob Zombie's going to do next as a filmmaker. I don't know where he's going to go, but I would love to see him do another film with the Firefly family. I'd love to see it. I know that Sid Haig's gone. I know that that's tough to sort of reconcile, but I would love to see more adventures with the Firefly family. And, I know Rob doesn't always want to do horror, but I think horror is where he lives now. I think this is his playground, and he needs to stick with it and make more movies like Three from Hell. That's just my opinion. Definitely let me know what you guys think, but I really liked it. The third in the trilogy, and hopefully more to come. Who knows, guys, but I really did enjoy it. 3 from Hell. And the next pickup that I got, guys, is a horror anthology from SRS Cinema, and that is Necrologies, with a very unique and interesting artwork for Necrologies. Not bad here. And as I've said, I really do like horror anthologies. If you've been keeping up with the channel for like as long as you have, you know that I do like horror anthologies. Not everyone is created equal, but I really do enjoy a lot of them. And when I heard about this one, I was like, I've never heard of this. But I'm going to give it a chance because, again, I like horror anthologies. And SRS Cinema, they do some very weird and very low-budget horror films. They didn't actually direct this. I believe they actually it got distributed through them. So I was kind of curious to check it out just for those two aspects of it. And the movie's basically about this guy who's sort of taking pictures and video in this graveyard, and this caretaker ends up actually finding him and says, if you don't come with me, I'm going to call the cops right now. And he comes with him, and while he's gonna call the cops, he ends up telling him these stories about some of the people that are in the cemetery and what happened to them, and that's where the whole horror anthology aspect of it comes from. And there's different stories. There's sort of monsters, and there's creepy phone calls, and people stalking and killing, and supernatural stuff, and just sort of your typical horror anthology stuff here. And I'm gonna be honest, I really didn't enjoy this film, guys. I really didn't. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was watching the movie, and I don't mind that it's low budget. I'm fine with that, because there's a lot of low budget stuff I really like. but I just didn't really love the stories. And I think the reason why I didn't like the stories is because with horror anthologies, it's so difficult. And I've said this before, but you really have to find the perfect balance within your story. Not going too long and not going too short, where you feel like you've satisfied the audience enough. And this movie doesn't do that. There's a lot of these stories that feel uh, a little undercooked. They feel like they could have been done a little bit better. They could have been prolonged a little bit more. You kind of feel like they weren't developed enough. And some of them are a little confusing, and some of them don't make a lot of sense. Again, it sort of goes more to that undercooked, sort of half baked thing of that they're just not done as well as they could have been. I will also say this, the movie is a foreign language film, so you do not get an English track. You get a foreign language track with subtitles, which, I don't mind subtitled movies. I own quite a few of them. But for this movie, for some reason, I really felt like I would have loved for an English track on here to actually, like, yeah, I don't know, enjoy the movie a little bit more. Sort of not have to always look down and actually keep seeing the dialogue. And the problem is that sometimes there's a lot of action going on screen because the stories are so quick that you really want to focus on it, and sometimes you can't. So you're literally kind of like trying to read the text and see the action at the same time, and it gets really confusing and really convoluted. And I really didn't like that one, guys. But honestly, the stories are a little bit half baked, and I don't think they're developed well enough. The effects are a little cheesy, and they don't actually like they're not really effective. And the one thing was that they ended up promoting this release because one of the main people that is in this movie is Linnea Quigley, and they're like, hey, Linnea Quigley is in this. And I'm telling you guys right now, I'm a huge fan of Linnea Quigley, but Linnea Quigley is in this for less than 5 minutes. Maybe 2 minutes, and I'm being fair here. This is one of those where they take the name of Linnea Quigley and they literally just use it for promotional sake. They don't really, don't expect you're seeing her for like, for a long time. She's not even really in it towards maybe even the latter half of the movie, and at that point, you're kind of like wishing it was done already. It's a really half-baked movie, guys, and as I told you, not every horror anthology is created equal, and this one is definitely one of those where it's not created equal. I hate to say it, man. I love SRS cinema. There's movies that I've loved in the past, like House Shark, which I think is really cool. But this one, man, you got level horror anthologies, you've got B level horror anthologies, and you've got C level horror anthologies. This is on the C or D level horror anthologies. It's just not good and not really entertaining, and yeah, this is probably not gonna be in the collection, guys. It was worth a blind buy, and I'm glad I at least checked it out, but it's one of those horror anthologies that I can't recommend to you guys, man. If you love horror anthologies, look it up out of curiosity's sake, but I can't say I recommend it to you guys. Sorry, just not my thing. But you get here behind the scenes when FX go wrong, SRS trailers. Yeah. Yeah, it's just one of those ones where I was just sitting there like, this could have been way better. And it's not. Hate to say it. Sorry, guys. One, not worth checking out. Necrologies. Then the next thing I picked up, guys, is I picked up a 3-disc limited edition Blu-ray from Blue Underground, and it's been a while since I watched this one, but I definitely wanted to check it out. And Blue Underground's been putting out a lot of really cool like re-releases, and this is definitely one of them. And that is Two Evil Eyes right here with, look at that, nice sort of lenticular cover. Not half bad, right, guys? So they have this. They also on the inside have the other theatrical art right here. Not half bad. They do have that. And on the inside, they also have a booklet here that again shows off a lot of the artwork and articles about the making of the movie and everything. So they do have this as well. Now, this comes with the feature film, of course, the extras, and it also comes with another disc, which is the soundtrack as well. So, comes with quite a bit to get, guys, not gonna lie. So, if you're a fan of Blue Underground, definitely check this one out, guys. And this is another horror anthology. But here's the thing about it. This is a horror anthology directed by George Romero and Dario Argento. It's just only two stories, and that's it. Basically, the one story is of this sort of woman played by Adrienne Barbeau, who she ends up like she's married to this old, very millionaire, very rich man, and he's sort of dying, and she's trying to take his money and sleep with the doctor, and there's a whole plot to kill him, and and sort of how that all goes wrong, and how sort of the husband takes revenge. I won't really say anything more than that. And then the other one is sort of this guy who is sort of slowly losing his mind, and sort of gets into an argument with his wife, and something terrible happens from there, and he has to cover things up. He has to try to keep his sanity while everybody is trying to question what's going on around him. Again, I won't say anything more about that, but that story has Harvey Keitel in it, and Harvey Keitel is really good in that one, just as Adrienne Barbeau is good in the first story. And this is a good movie. I like this movie. I think the movie is really decent. I love the directing by George Romero and Dario Argento. I think they're really great filmmakers. I love them quite a bit. But I'm not in love with this movie. And I think the reason why I'm not in love with this movie is because, as I told you guys about necrologies, with necrologies, the stories are too short and they feel undercooked and underbaked. With something like Two Evil Eyes, it feels like it's too long at times. It stretches itself way too thin. Because there's a moment in all of them, these two stories, where you feel like it could have ended right here. If you ended it right here, it would have been perfect. But they continue to go with it. And I think they did because, number one, they have to reach a certain runtime in order to make this a theatrical movie. On top of that, I think you just have these filmmakers who just want to indulge in their stories, and that's just what they want to do. I can't say I blame them. I mean, there's a lot of great aspects to these stories that I like. I like the acting. I like the blood and gore. I like the suspense. I like sort of the supernatural aspects of it. There's a lot of really cool stuff to dive into with these two stories, and I think George Romero and Dario Argento do the best they possibly can with these stories, but they just feel really stretched out and really long. And at a certain point, I think, at least for me, I was sitting there watching this movie, and especially the stories, and saying, boy, this could have been done maybe like 15 or 20 minutes ago, and I think it would have been a much better movie. Again, I really still enjoy this film, and it's definitely staying in the collection because I love George Romero and Dario Argento, so this is one that's definitely going to stay there. But to me, it could have been better. Again, had you trimmed this and trimmed that and shortened this and even brought in a third story, if they would have done a third story, brought in another filmmaker to do one more tale and shorten the other two, I think it would have been perfect. But unfortunately, that's not what we got here, guys. But I still really enjoy it. I think it's still a really solid movie overall. And again, there's some really great people in here. Martin Balsam, E.G. Marshall, John Amos, Tom Atkins, of course, Tom Savini doing some of the effects. As I said, Adrienne Barbeau, Harvey Keitel. So you have a lot of really great actors here, a lot of really great talent behind and in front of the camera. It's not the best horror anthology, but it's certainly not the worst. As I told you, there's sort of A, B, C, D levels of horror anthologies. I'd put this more in the level of horror anthology. It's not top tier, but I think it's second tier though. It's really good though. I really do enjoy it, man, quite a bit. And Blue Underground definitely gave it the love that it deserved, guys. I mean, you get here a new audio commentary with Troy Howarth. You get theatrical trailer, posters, still galleries. You get an interview with Dario Argento and George Romero, which is an older, obviously, interview because George Romero has now passed away. You get interviews with, the supervisor, the executive producer. You get home movies with Tom Savini about the makeup effects. You get a lot of new interviews with some of the other stars and the co-writers and costume designers, and again, you get the soundtrack as well. A lot of really great stuff here, man. Blue Underground definitely gave it the love that it deserves, and it does deserve the love. When you have Argento and Romero, you do a good addition to bring people in and definitely check this movie out, and I'm glad I did. I really do like this movie. I don't love it, but honestly, for somebody who loves Romero and Argento as is a horror lover, I gotta definitely keep this in the collection, guys. I think it's a worthy addition just for those two directors alone. I may not love the movie, but it's still a worthy pickup for sure, guys. Definitely check it out if you haven't. 2. Evil Eyes. On to the next pickup, guys, and we're delving into a little indie horror with the Blu-ray of Candy Corn right here, guys, with this really great theatrical art, man. I really like that art on this Blu-ray cover quite a bit, man. Definitely do. And if you guys didn't watch the video, I ended up, I believe, in Octoberish or Novemberish, I put out a video where I ended up going to a theatrical screening of Candy Corn. I ended up showing off the theater. I filmed the Q&A, and I did an interview with the director Josh Hasty as well. It was a really cool event. I'm glad I got to see the movie theatrically. It's definitely a cool video. Definitely check that out if you haven't yet, guys. But it's really interesting with indie horror films, especially sort of new horror films at that, because as a horror lover, and I don't know whether you guys agree or not, but I sort of look at horror fans and we love the classics, we cling on to them, we're definitely fans of them, but it's hard for us to really open our minds to a lot of newer stuff, I find. Not that we absolutely hate the newer stuff, but I feel like, when we see some of this stuff, we're like, well, that's just ripping off this movie, and that's just ripping off so and so, and why should we even bother? Originality is really hard to come by nowadays, guys. It really is. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. It's really tough. And so, some of these movies, they pay homage or they take influence from, and you just hope that they do it in a way that's respectful, and you hope that they do it in a way that makes it original to their film. And I think that's where Candy Corn really shines, man, because Candy Corn is about the sort of 20 somethings who every single year they have a tradition where um, they basically harass and they humiliate and embarrass this one kid that's a little bit sort of not all there. And this year's a little bit different because he is employed by this sort of traveling horror sideshow. And what happens is that when they terrorize this guy, he ends up actually fighting back. And they beat him so badly on accident that he ends up dying. And the leader of this sort of horror carnival, Dr. Death, he ends up bringing him back to life to seek revenge on these people. And sort of we're off and running from there, man. And I think it's a really great homage to movies like Halloween. I mean, you can definitely feel the Halloween influence, whether you're listening to the music in the film, the way the characters dress, some of like the fall setting with the leaves and everything. You can feel that. You can feel sort of that Carpenter influence that really comes into it in a big bad way, man. And you sort of feel the influence with Argento and Romero, and you can tell that the director Josh Hasty is a horror lover. He's somebody who appreciates the horror genre, and he's somebody that wanted to do horror films and take the love of all these films that he's seen as a kid and the influences from all these directors and make something unique and something his own. And I really appreciated that. I love the deaths here. I love the blood and the gore, and I love how basically he leaves as his trademark just a little trail of candy corn, just in the victim's mouth or just a little bit by the bodies, and just sort of a signature tell of that he's been there. And I like that. I like the characters quite a bit. Some of them you root to be killed. Others of them you're really intrigued by and you want to know more about. And I think the acting here is really good. I think Pancho Millar, who was in Three from Hell, I think he did a really great job in this movie. Tony Todd is in here in a small role. PJ Souls as well. Courtney Gaines, he does a great job here as the sheriff. Everybody does a really great job with this movie in their role. Josh Hasty does a really great job directing this movie as well. This movie took him about 2 or 3 years of constant filming. He would start to film, and then he would run out of money, and he'd have to raise more money, and then he'd come back, do another, week or so of filming, and then run out of money again, and have to raise more money. And so this is a labor of love for him. This took him a long time, and so I look at somebody like Josh Hasty as somebody who is so passionate about filming that he is just gonna continue to fight for his film. And I really do appreciate filmmakers like that. Some just frankly give up. He is not one of those guys, and I really appreciate that. And it makes me want to see what he's gonna do next. If he's this passionate about a small indie film that he did, I can't wait to see where he goes next. But I really love this. It reminds me of movies like Halloween and those sort of old school 70s style horror films. And it just really is a great compliment to Halloween. There's certain movies that really make you love Halloween, and they really make you feel like it just gets you in the mood for the tradition of Halloween and the holiday. And they're just ones that have become a staple that you watch every single October. And I think Candy Corn is going to become one of them in due time. I really honestly do. In talking to the director in the Q&A, he really went out of his way to say that he has more stories to tell in this Candy Corn world and he would like to do more of it. But he's not right now interested in doing that. He wants to do other projects, and maybe if this gains a lot of love and a lot of cult status over time, maybe he'll come back to it at some point. I would love to see a sequel to this. There's a lot of little loose threads, little things that people say that you feel like could go into another movie. I definitely would be interested to find out more about this, guys. I really honestly would. But this is a really great sort of classic tale that really feels like a great tradition straight out of Halloween, man. And I really enjoyed it quite a bit. Not every independent horror film is created equal. Some are frankly bad. I hate to say it, guys. But this is really good, man, and I really think you guys should give this one a chance. Honestly, I really do. It's a little slow going, and it takes its time, but that's not always a bad thing. You don't always need the whiz-bang horror films. You need stuff that takes its time and, definitely gives you sort of more of a thorough experience than just, shooting your load all over the place and then you're done. It, takes its time a little bit. But I really do enjoy this one, guys. You have here One Piece at a Time, which is basically a full-on documentary. Basically, this thing is like a 2+ hour documentary on the making of Candy Corn. It's the director. You watch him, filming certain scenes, how he shot them, what goes into his planning on making these, how he ended up, funding this film and working with the actors and the crew. Really fantastic documentary, guys. You have crowdfunding scene, you have In the Director's Chair with Josh Hasty, and a director's commentary as well. Really great stuff here, man, and a really great Blu-ray by Epic Pictures. I really enjoy this one quite a bit. This is one I'm definitely going to put on every single Halloween season. It's, I think, literally that good. I stand by this film, man, and I can't wait to see what the director does next. I'm really excited. I think you should be too. Candy Corn. And then, guys, we have a great special edition release from Arrow Video, and oh man, dude, when this got announced, I was super excited because I'm not gonna lie, man. It looks gorgeous. I love the movie. It's a goddamn classic, and Arrow just gave it. They give it the love that it really deserves, man. And that is none other than American Werewolf in London with this really great artwork, man. That's really killer. I really love that artwork on the backside right here with the star. And of course, this is a hard shell box, man. Really, really fantastic. And there's a lot that comes with this, man. You get on the inside here, of course, we have the nice theatrical art right there switched over. Not half bad. We also get a few things. Here we get some lobby cards from Arrow. You have this one right here with that right there. Not bad. You've got, of course, this one on there and on the other side right there. Of course, the same stuff here, right there. Not bad at all. Some cool little lobby cards, man. Not bad, dude. Some cool stuff. Loving this. Certain scenes from the movie. Pretty cool. Not bad at all, man. Very, very nice. So you get these lobby cards right here, which is very cool, man. Very cool stuff to check out. But that's not it, because there's definitely more, guys. On top of all that, you also get a booklet as well, right here. Very nice. And this comes with different kinds of pictures and articles on the making of the movie as well. Very nice. So you do get this here. And that's not it either, because you also get some poster art as well here. You get the poster here, which ends up opening up and showing off the new art right here. Very nice. And on the back side, you also get some different art right here as well. Very cool, man. Yeah, look at that. That is awesome, dude. You get a lot of really, really cool stuff with this release, man. You know, Arrow, they really go out of their way a lot for these films, and I really appreciate what they do, man, because they really, a lot of times, honestly, usually when Arrow does it, it's pretty much the last time that you're ever going to have to buy it, and this is one of those exceptions, guys. It really honestly did. I mean, I've owned the DVD before, and then I've owned the Blu-ray, and then I thought to myself, I'm never going to upgrade this title again. Never. And then this edition comes out, and I'm like, okay, I guess I was proven wrong. I'm going to do it. But this is really the last time I'm going to buy it, guys. I don't really feel the need to ever buy this again, especially with this set. There's no way, dude. This is the last time I'm buying this, because this is the be-all, end-all release as far as I'm concerned, man. There is so much here. This is a great box, and the movie itself is amazing. It's basically these two guys who end up going on this sort of trip in the England area and in Europe, and they get attacked by what is considered a werewolf, or some people would say a giant dog, but it's like a werewolf, and they end up getting attacked, and one of the friends dies, and the other one, you know, gets injured but doesn't die, and they shoot the werewolf, and he survives. And what happens is that basically the werewolf curse transferred over to him, and now he is cursed with becoming a werewolf and cursed to kill people and live this life of death until he decides that he wants to kill himself and get rid of this curse for good. It sounds very dark, and it is at times, but I'm telling you guys, this is a fun as hell horror movie. This is definitely one of the definitions of a horror comedy for sure, man. You have the blood and the gore. The creature effects are amazing here. Rick Baker, the werewolf transformation scene in this movie is the best werewolf transformation there has ever been. There may have been others that have been very good, but nothing, and I mean nothing, will ever compare to the werewolf transformation in this film, guys. It is literally the best werewolf transformation you'll ever see in your life. I love it. I love just the pain that's coming through, and just how the fingers are elongating and the feet and just sort of the face, and you just feel so helpless for him, man. I love that. I love the acting here. I love the comedy aspects of an American being in Europe and not really knowing the culture, and sort of his dead friend played by Griffin Dunn, who is slowly rotting every single time he's seeing him, and the sort of the comedy of that, and the comedy of the other people that he's killing wanting him to kill himself. And there's so many wonderful things to this movie, dude. I can't say enough great things about this. This movie is directed by John Landis. Now, John Landis directed movies like Animal House and The Blues Brothers, and no one would have ever thought in a million years that the guy that did those films would direct a movie like American Werewolf in London. But that's why, you give these filmmakers a chance. You may not think they'd be able to pull it off, but you'd be quite surprised. This movie is a classic of the genre. It's a classic of werewolf movies. It's a classic of the horror genre, of horror comedies. It is a gold standard horror film. And for Arrow to give this the love that it really deserves, I'm really so happy that they did this, man. Like I said, this is the last edition that you're ever gonna need to buy, and I sincerely mean that, guys. This is an amazing edition, and like I said, you get a lot of stuff here. I mean, the limited edition contents, there's a lot of stuff. I'll just run down some of the stuff here. You get audio commentary by some of the actors, David Naughton, Griffin Dunn. You also get Mark of the Beast, The Legacy of the Universal Werewolf, which is a new documentary just talking about werewolf films in general and where sort of American Werewolf in London sort of ranks among those. It's a very unique one. You get the old school documentaries as well. You get new interviews, trailers, still galleries, all that. You get so much here, man. And it's very interesting again because it's interesting to look at this film in a time capsule, especially sort of back in the day, because you look at somebody like David Naughton, and I've met David Naughton at conventions, and he is one hell of a nice guy. He is a really gracious dude, really nice, down-to-earth dude. And you think of him back in the day, of this wholesome, I'm drinking Dr. Pepper guy, and wholesome Disney dude, and making this movie, and how the image kind of got broken a little bit. And I sort of love that, man. I love sort of those stories of like a wholesome dude doing this movie, and suddenly, people don't look at him so much like that anymore. It was a unique movie for the time. Nobody knew if this movie was going to work. Nobody knew if the special effects were going to work. Nobody knew if people were going to embrace this film or embrace the comedy of it, and how it would break certain images of actors. But it worked. And it worked brilliantly. I don't think a movie like this could be made nowadays. I mean, you can't. I mean, they tried to remake American Werewolf in London. They did American Werewolf in Paris. And we know where that got us, guys. It didn't get us very far because it's not a great movie. Certain films, like American Werewolf in London, are really a product of their time and can only be done once. And when it's done perfectly, and that's it. You don't need to redo it ever again. And I really think American Werewolf in London is one of those guys. I think Arrow did a great job here. This is a goddamn classic, and it needs to be celebrated by everybody. And if you have not picked up this really great edition from Arrow Video, definitely do it. If you haven't checked out the movie before, Jesus, man, what the hell are you doing? Get up on that, man. It's a great werewolf film. It's a classic of the genre, and I think you guys would really enjoy it. Definitely get up on it. American Werewolf in London. And the next pickup, guys, is a collector's edition release from Scream Factory. It's a title that I have never had in the collection, and I don't know why I haven't had in the collection before. I freaking love this movie. And that is none other than The Blob right here, guys, with this very interesting sort of new artwork that Scream Factory did. You can kind of see them on the motorcycle and sort of the blob all around, sort of hands coming out of the blob, trying to reach out and everything. Pretty cool artwork, actually. But nothing beats the theatrical art that I have on the inside, guys. I love that artwork with the pink and the body sort of crawling around there. Very nice artwork indeed. And, you know, not every horror remake is created equal. You guys know that. I mean, let's be honest here. There's a lot of horror remakes that are really terrible and really bad and just frankly unwatchable. And, you know, there was a time when horror remakes were really good. And a lot of it really was in the 80s, man. I mean, you look at John Carpenter's The Thing, and I mean, you even look at this movie here, and that it takes the original idea and it does something new and interesting and updates it for the modern times. And I thought it was brilliant, man. I remember watching this when I was a young teen and getting just sort of like creeped out by it and scared of this sort of alien entity that people sort of get sort of consumed by, and they're inside this thing but they're no longer alive, and you know, they're just dead parts floating around, and it was just really freaky, man. And I fell in love with this movie in a big bad way. I loved sort of the makeup effects, and I loved sort of the little like alien creature effects of like things floating on the inside, and the kills I thought were really fantastic. I mean, one of my favorites has to be the dishwasher when he goes down the drain pipe, and I'm like, oh my god, dude. And I thought to myself, how the fuck can a human body do that? It's like that is so beyond messed up, man. And I just love it, man. I mean, the movie's basically about this sort of, you know, sort of alien sort of egg that comes down to Earth and basically opens up and starts consuming people and getting bigger and more massive, and these people have to try and stop it. And good luck to them because it is one ferocious alien entity, creature, whatever you want to call it. And I really just fell in love with this movie. I fell in love with the characters. I fell in love with Shawnee Smith. I mean, this was the first movie that I saw Shawnee Smith in, and I fell in love with Shawnee Smith in a big bad way, guys. I really did. I love this one so much. And like I said, it's such a really great slice of the 80s as well. And I have to also give it credit to Chuck Russell. Chuck Russell directed this movie, and he directed A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, and he's been just a really great director of somebody who really knew how to take horror material in the 80s and make it really fun and scary. And I really love this movie quite a bit, man. This is really a high one on the list. As far as horror remakes go, this is definitely a high one. This is great. I mean, the original is great too, and I don't want to knock down the original. Steve McQueen is great in it, and that's a great movie. But for me, I do prefer the remake over the original. It's just my sort of horror sensibilities. It's what I prefer. But this is really great, dude. I really love this quite a bit, man. It's fun. It's scary. It's gooey and goopy, and I have a great time watching this all the time, dude. It's really great. And now I picked up the collector's edition release from Scream Factory because originally this came out from Twilight Time. Twilight Time did a limited edition release of this film, and I remember my friend John picking that one up. And I thought I could pick it up the day of, and I think I was working or something at that point, and I never got around to getting it, and so it sold out fast, and I was so pissed because I went on eBay, and it's like, of course, people are putting it up on eBay for, you know, 2-3 times the amount of money, and I'm like, I can't afford that, and so I just never tried to get it, and I thought, okay, I'm never gonna get this title. I would definitely like to have it in the collection, and then Scream Factory announced it, and I'm like, thank God. I was really happy, dude, and Scream Factory definitely gave it the love it deserved, man. I mean, you get a new audio commentary with the director, cinematographer, special makeup effects artist, another new commentary with Shawnee Smith, new interviews with the director, production designer, special effects artists, actors, the old school audio commentary with Chuck Russell. as well as behind the scenes footage and theatrical trailer and much more. There's a lot to chew here, guys, and I'm just happy to have it in the collection, dude. There's not many horror remakes that I really love, to be honest with you, but this one ranks really high up there, dude, and I really love this. If you guys have not checked this out, or if you're afraid of horror remakes, can't say I blame you, but this is one of the better ones. Definitely check it out. The Blob. Then on to another release, collector's edition release from Scream Factory right here, guys. And that is none other than Ginger Snaps. Now, interestingly enough, why I got Ginger Snaps is actually I've never had Ginger Snaps in the collection. And this is another one where I'm like, why have I never had Ginger Snaps in the collection? I really love this movie. What's wrong with me? McFly, what's wrong? You know what? I think my thing about it was that there was always other movies to get, and I never really sort of took the time to go back and sort of get older releases that I've wanted. And I'm now starting to go back and do that, and Ginger Snaps was one of them that I really wanted. And I gotta give big props to my friend John, because when I got this in the mail, the problem with Screen Factory is their slipcovers and everything, they really only guarantee them for 2 months. And then after 2 months, pretty much you're on your own. You might have to get it through eBay, and if you order it, you may get it, you may not. Good luck to you. This came without the slipcover, and my friend John was talking to me, and I asked him, hey, I think you got the Ginger Snaps movie, right? And he's like, yeah. I said, what are you doing with your slipcover? You know, and he said he didn't really need it. He didn't really need the slipcover, and he was fine with giving it to me. And I really appreciated that from him in a big bad way, because I'm a collector. I'm a collector like you guys. I really want these releases, and for me, something about the slipcovers really do something for me. I know some of you think I'm crazy, but I really do love that. And so I really thank my friend John in a big bad way for actually giving me his slipcover, because I don't know. I looked on eBay and I could have gotten it through eBay, but the problem is that a lot of those slipcovers look really damaged. For some reason, some people really don't take care of their stuff, and so I didn't want to buy something that I wasn't going to be liking. And my friend John is a lot like me that takes care of his stuff, so thank you to him in a big bad way. And the movie's fantastic, man. The movie is about these two sisters, kind of very very gothy, and kind of only really likes one another. Don't really like to interact with many other people. And one day, one of the sisters she is attacked by a dog-looking creature. They don't know what this thing is. It could be a weird dog creature, it could be not. And eventually what they find out, guys, is that it is actually a werewolf that attacked them. And the sister is turning into a werewolf slowly but surely. She's getting more sexualized, she's getting more horny, she's getting more hungry, and she wants flesh and blood, and she is going to get it any way she can. And it's a really great, wonderful movie. It's not only a really great werewolf movie, but it's a really great movie about sort of the female anatomy, I guess. Because the changes that she's going through is kind of like a changes that women go through. The changes in her body and her sexuality and everything like that. And it's a really great sort of movie that's a really great strong message for females as well. I really enjoyed it. The first time I ever watched this, I was like, not only do I think that the story is great and the effects are really cool and the blood and gore is awesome, but I fell in love with this movie so much. I fell in love with, if I remember her name, Catherine Isabel. I fell in love with Catherine Isabel. I saw her in this movie and I was like, damn, I'm in love with her. She was great in this role, and her sort of going from being very meek to being very sexy and creepy and very confident of herself. It just was a great range of emotions, and I really liked it quite a bit, man. I thought this was a really great movie. I really love this one quite a bit. I think it is one of those sort of top tier werewolf movies. I really do, man. I think it's one that I think people really think about when they talk about werewolf movies, and that this is one that comes up in conversations all the time, and rightfully so. It deserves it. I think this is a great movie. I really honestly do. And not only is it a really great movie, but I think it spawned a lot of really cool movies that came because of it. Like this movie spawned a lot of really great sort of horror films that really directed itself to more female audiences, I think, because of this movie. So I think it really influenced, I think, the horror genre as well. I really love this one quite a bit. I really do. And I will say this, I really do love the sequel as well. I remember Bob ended up giving me the DVD of the sequel years ago, and he's like, "Hey, watch this, man." And I said, "The sequel to Ginger Snaps, how can this be good?" And I remember watching it, and I fell in love with the sequel. I thought it was really sort of cool and kind of demented, and really great sort of pickup from the first film. And I really hope at some point Scream Factory does a like great collector's edition of that film. Not really the third film all that much, because I'm not really a fan of the third film, but the second film I would love to pick up in a collector's edition sequel. If anybody willing to do that, are you listening to Scream Factory? Please do it. So I really love this, but I think Scream Factory definitely gave it the love it deserved. I'm glad to finally have it in the collection. You get new interviews from Emily Perkins and Jesse Moss, makeup effects artist and composer. You get new women in horror panel discussing Ginger Snaps, audio commentary from the director, and the is director is a guy. He's a guy, man, and he ended up directing this sort of female empowerment werewolf horror movie. Crazy, but it works. You know what I'm saying? You also get an audio commentary with the writer, who's actually a female, by the way. Deleted scenes with optional commentary, creation of the beast, theatrical trailer, and TV spots. A lot to chew on here, guys. And it's such a great horror film, a great werewolf film, and it's one that definitely deserves the love that it's gotten over the years. If you haven't checked out this movie, if you haven't delved into a lot of werewolf films, this is one you definitely got to check out, guys. Well worth it indeed. Ginger Snaps. And the physical media train keeps on rolling and rolling with more pickups, guys. And we are back in Vinegar Syndrome territory with The Vineyard, which, great artwork, man, by Vinegar Syndrome there with James Hong and with the electricity, and be like, oh, very cool. On the backside, you got some zombie action right there, and on the inside, some theatrical artwork as well, not half bad. Now, I actually could have gotten this title earlier. When Vinegar Syndrome was at Soundgarden, this was there, and I was definitely looking at it, and the guy at the booth is like, "Oh, you're really looking at that one, you really are." And I'm like, "I can't get it." And he's like, "Why? Why can't you get it?" And I'm like, "I pre-ordered it. I can't buy it twice, so I'm just gonna wait for the pre-order. Sorry." And, it did get released in September, but I got it in October because the next title that I got, another Vinegar Syndrome title, that got released in October, so I had to wait to get this along with that other title. But it was well worth it, guys. And, it's interesting because when they announced this title, I kept on thinking to myself, I must have seen this somewhere because it sounded so familiar. And I kept racking my brain. Where did I see this? And I think that I must have seen it either on USA Up All Night or Joe Bob Briggs or something like that, where you would see these type of flicks, or maybe Late Night Cinemax, or possibly. But I remember it, but it's been so long since I had watched it. I really wanted to get it and watch it again, and I'm so glad I did, guys. I mean, basically, this movie is about James Hong's character, who is a world-famous winemaker. People love his wine all over the world. He's famous, he's incredibly rich, And what people don't know about him is that he's using all of this research and everything that he's doing to create an elixir. And the elixir is keeping him alive, keeping him youthful over the many, many generations that he's been doing this. And he uses fresh blood from his victims in order to use the elixir and everything. And he ends up inviting a bunch of these sort of 20 somethings to his island where he's sort of trying to get into the movies and produce movies, and they're there to pretend like they're auditioning, but obviously they're there to be killed. And he finds this one girl who he's very fascinated by, somebody who he definitely wants, and he basically is going after her and basically gonna take out the friends and anybody that gets in his way. And there's a hell of a lot of uh, boobs, blood, gore, martial arts, undead zombies, and all kinds of weird fucking craziness, guys. This thing, man, is just one of those sort of late night movies that you just really enjoy. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It's having a hell of a lot of fun. James Hong, who also, by the way, co-directed this film, he does a great job, man. He's living it up. He's having a fun time. I love the characters here. It's cheesy as shit, dude. It's cheesy as shit. The acting is cheesy. You know, the effects, the zombie effects, everything is cheesy as shit. But a lot of it doesn't matter because it's fun. And I think that's sometimes what gets lost in some of these newer films that, you know, I see a lot of this stuff at Walmart, these cheesy B movie horror stuff that's, you know, trying to be fun, but they don't pull it off. Somehow, when it was in the 80s or the early 90s, you could tell that these people were having fun. There was a cheesiness to it, and there was something about how they were still working their ass off. It wasn't cheesiness for cheesiness sake. It was cheesiness because it just ended up being that way. Nobody goes out to make a movie and says, it's gonna be the cheesiest fucking thing I've ever made in the world. No, they go out because they genuinely like the script. They want to work with cool people. They want to make the best movie that they can, and if it turns into this cool sort of cult-like cheesy film, then so be it. But a lot of these filmmakers nowadays go out of their way to make these movies cheesy intentionally. I think that's what makes The Vineyard really fun, is that they didn't intentionally do that. It just ended up being that way, and I think that's what makes it a really unique film. On top of that, it's just one of those movies that, you know, throw everything in the kitchen sink in. Oh, we're gonna do some martial arts stuff. Oh, we're gonna put zombies in there because why the hell not? Hey, we got some really hot chicks in here. Let's throw in some tits and ass. You know, it's like they're just throwing in anything that's gonna get them an audience, and God bless them for it, dude. I mean, these are the films that I loved watching when I was a kid, late night, when my parents weren't watching me, and I could just have fun and indulge myself. And The Vineyard is definitely one of them, man. It's really fun. I really like this one quite a bit, and to me it's about having a great time, and this is definitely one of them, dude. I really love this. And James Hong, man, and movies like this made me love James Hong for sure, dude. He's classic. What can I tell you? And Vinegar Syndrome definitely gave this the love it deserves, guys. I mean, you get here a interview with James Hong and the writer, and it's a really great sort of interview. They talk about some of the effects that they ended up putting into it, the writing of it, him being an actor and director. It was a really interesting sort of interview. You also get an interview with the other co-director of this, and talking about this movie and how he had chances to do other films, but he decided to do this one. Very interesting stuff in here. Also, an interview with the cinematographer, original theatrical trailer, and more. Vinegar Syndrome gave it the love it deserves. These are movies that I never thought would ever see the light of day on a Blu-ray of all things. But that's why I love places like Vinegar Syndrome, because you eventually get movies like this that are well deserved to finally hit the platform by far, guys. Cheesy fun, tits and ass, martial arts, throw the kitchen sink in, but it's a fun time, and I love it, man. Not bad at all. Definitely get up on this if you haven't watched it yet. If you love James Hong like I do, well worth it. The Vineyard. Then the next title, as I said, is another Vinegar Syndrome title, and this was a really unique one. I didn't quite know actually what to think about this one until I actually watched it, but I'm damn glad I did. And that is Unmasked Part 25, with this really great slipcover here, very reminiscent of Friday the 13th, obviously. When you turn over to the back, ooh, looks like a weird, creepy guy with bandages all over him. Kind of almost looks like Darkman or something. Very cool there. And on the inside, right there, not bad at all. Creepy guy with bandages. Very cool, man. And let's talk about Unmasked Part 25. Because when this was announced by Vinegar Syndrome, I was very curious about this title. Because it's paying homage, or it's a ripoff of Friday the 13th, but yet at the same time it's a spoof of Friday the 13th. It's set in the UK. It's UK based. It's a horror comedy. It's so many different things that make it unique, and I didn't quite know what I was in for, to be honest with you. I knew I was going to give it a chance. I knew I was going to blind buy it, but outside of that, I was really ready for whatever this movie was going to give me. And I got to say that this is very unique by far, man. I mean, this movie, man, is just really crazy. It's about this guy named Jackson. And Jackson is a lot like Freddy. Well, I was going to say Freddy Krueger, guys. No, Jason Voorhees. And basically what ends up happening is that he kills for killing's sake. He kills people who drink. He kills people who have sex. You know, you do something wrong, you're getting killed by him. It's just, he has a thirst for killing, and it just is never ending. And he has a curse on him, a family curse, and he just ruthlessly kills with his mask on, and stalks these young 20-something people, and, you know, teaches them a lesson. Does it remind you of somebody? Yeah, it reminds you of Jason Voorhees. It reminds you of Friday the 13th, because this thing is riddled with Friday the 13th references, whether you like it or not. It's crazy, guys. Now, by the way, when Jackson takes his mask off, he has his one eye, then he has his damaged eye up around here. His face looks like Jason Voorhees. This is Jason Voorhees other than the name. They named him Jackson and not Jason Voorhees because they couldn't do it because of copyright shit. That is basically what we're dealing with here, guys. This is an insane movie, dude. The kills here. The kills are amazing. Like, the kills are like what Jason Voorhees would do. Stabbing through somebody, punching through somebody, knives going into people, slamming people's heads into walls until they're a bloody mess. Using weapons up the wazoo to kill people. These are great deaths, dude. These are great deaths, crushing people's heads. These are Jason Voorhees deaths. On top of that, it's also a melodrama about him having a relationship with a blind chick that can't see him, and he is actually happy that she can't see him because she can't judge him, and therefore he's okay with it, you know, dating a blind chick. He has sex with her. They go through different things of trying to domesticate him, or they end up taking out a book of like having kinky sex together, and so he's all in like this leather outfit and whips and chains, and he's, you know, trying to please her. And this is one weird fucking bizarre movie, guys. I wish I could explain it a hell of a lot better, but really, you just have to experience this movie. This is one of those movies where you really have to just watch it and just go in knowing that it's about this guy who's a killer that's trying to reform his life and become domesticated, but he just can't do it because he's just a killer by nature. and the comedy of that and the horror of that. And they took Jason Voorhees. They took the whole idea of Jason Voorhees, the mask and the disfigurement and the curse and everything, and they said, what if we put all of that in a UK based setting, spin it into a comedy about just this humdrum guy of a lifestyle that just happens to look a hell of a lot like Jason Voorhees and has the same killing style, but is sick and tired of killing, and he's sort of neurotic like a Seinfeld episode. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. It's hard to describe this thing, but it's fun. I love the performances. It's really fun. It's really unique, and it has a good sort of dry British sense of humor to it. This is one oddball fucking movie, man. But as a Friday the 13th lover, I had to pick it up because I needed to know what this thing was about, and I'm so happy I did because I really love this movie. And it's just an hour and a half of weirdness that I can't quite describe, but I really love, and I think you guys should really delve into it if you really like this. It's so unique and interesting that it just has to be seen to be believed. It really does, man. I've never seen anything like it. But Vinegar Syndrome did do a great job with this, man. You get an audio commentary with the director. You get another audio commentary with the writer, producer, still gallery, original trailer, and more. This thing is a doozy, guys. I can't really explain this very well, and I'm sorry, but this is one of those ones where if you're a Friday the 13th lover, if you're a horror lover, if you're a horror comedy lover, this just has to be seen to be believed, dude. I can't even believe they made this and got away with it. It's all kinds of weirdness, but it's fun weirdness and it's dry sense of humor weirdness, and I really liked it. I don't know, guys. This is a weird one, but I'm really glad I found this, man. Weird, but well worth it. Unmasked, part 25. And the next pickup that we got, guys, is a release from Dark Force Entertainment, and that is Mira Mira, baby. Yeah, right here with this great, like, slip and cover art, man, of sort of like the mirror image right there and everything. Very cool, man. I thought that was really, really cool art. Unfortunately, we get the same art on the inside as well. I would have loved to have seen the theatrical art for this, but we didn't get it, man. Unfortunately, I would have loved to have seen it. But when this got announced, I wanted this in a big bad way. I really did, because a lot like some of the other stuff, like The Vineyard and some of the other films, I could have sworn I had seen this at some point. And I just didn't know where. And this is one of those movies where, like I said, I must have seen this on Late Night Cinemax, or I must have seen it on, Joe Bob Briggs or something. These are the type of movies that you would see at that point. And I just remember just really loving the movie, and I couldn't wait to pick it up. And I'm so glad I did. It's basically about this very unpopular teenager, Megan, which kind of looks like a goth chick, played by Rainbow Harvest. And she goes to school, and of course she gets picked on, and everybody, is sort of trashing on her. And she is receiving sort of this black magic through this mirror, this sort of mirror that sort of gives her these black magic powers that drips blood and wants to sort of possess her and kill people. And it's sort of her sort of becoming confident through the black magic, but also realizing that this mirror is out for evil and that it needs to be stopped, and sort of the complications of it. And I really still love this movie quite a bit, guys. I really do. I like the acting here. Karen Black playing Rainbow Harvest's mother. I thought she was great here. Rainbow Harvest herself does a really great job as sort of the more shy, sort of goth chick. I liked her. I like the effects with the mirror. I thought the whole stuff with the blood coming down and sort of the effects that they did with the mirror. And all this is pre-CGI as well. So stuff like the blood coming out of the mirror, everything, that was all done practical, and it looks really phenomenal. I really love sort of the black magic stuff here, the evil mirror stuff. I think it all really works really well, man. I really like it quite a bit, man. And it's been so long since I watched it. And you know, I'm glad that these type of movies are getting love on physical media because I mean, to be honest with you guys, did you ever think movies like Mirror Mirror would ever get a Blu-ray release? Like, I never in a million years would have ever thought these ones would ever get any type of physical media release like a Blu-ray. I mean, there's so many movies from the 80s and the 90s and even the 70s and 60s and everything that still don't get a lot of love to this day. There's still so much untapped potential of movies that still need physical media releases. And it's things like these independent studios like a Scream Factory or an Arrow or a Vinegar Syndrome, a Severin, a Dark Force that puts out these movies that no one else is gonna do. I mean, are you really gonna see these movies coming out by Disney or Universal or Paramount? Do you think they give two shits about some of these movies? They really don't. If they ain't making millions of dollars for the studio, they don't want them, man. And that's why I love these cult labels and the fact that they go out of their way. I really do appreciate it, man. And this is one of those titles that, once they announced it, I was like, oh my god, I'd forgotten about this movie. This is one of those movies that you really do forget about. Not that it's a bad movie and that you want to forget about it, it's that, you watch it and then there's so many other movies and it just gets lost until you get reminded of it again and it sort of comes back into the part of your brain where you're like, whoa, dude, it's been so long since I watched that and I have to pick it up. And I'm so glad I did. I really did, man. And Dark Force gave it a lot of great love, man. A new HD master here, and you also have Reflections on Mirror Mirror, a featurette with a couple of the producers as well. They were supposed to try to get Rainbow Harvest for a interview or maybe an audio commentary, and they weren't able to. I think Rainbow Harvest right now is very secluded in her life. She doesn't really want to talk about her time in Hollywood. I think she only did maybe a few movies, and that's it. She left Hollywood pretty early, and so, she only has a few movies to her credit, like Mirror Mirror, and I don't think she really wants to talk about that stuff very much, so it's very hard to get a interview with her, unfortunately. So I heard that they did try, but unfortunately they weren't able to do it. But I do appreciate the effort. But it was really nice hearing from the producers and about the movie and the actors and making the film and the mirror and some very interesting factoids about the movie for sure. But it's just the fact of having this on physical media, man, which really excites me. And I'm really happy to have this thing in a big bad way, guys. So, at least I have one movie with Rainbow Harvest. Not bad, guys. Very well worth it. If you like your sort of killer mirror type of film, then there's a few out there, guys. This is right on top of the list. Check it out. Mirror Mirror. And last but definitely not least, guys, a whole huge stack, man, and we're finally at the end. And that is none other than the Blu-ray of Bloodline right here with Sean William Scott. Now, I watched this when I did the out and about the week that Bloodline came out, and I didn't really know what to expect with this movie because, to be honest with you, this is Stifler. It's Stifler, dude. I mean, it's the guy gets peed on, or his mother gets fucked. I mean, okay, Stifler. I mean, he's a comedy guy. He's not really a horror person, and so I was like, okay, what? How good is this gonna be, really? I mean, come on now. But I was really surprised by this movie. I really honestly was, guys, because I thought it was creepy. I really liked the story of this guy he's sort of a counselor at this school, and he has a very humdrum life. He has a wife and a newborn son, and he seems to have a thirst for going out and killing. and it's been in his family for a while. This sort of thirst and this hunger to sort of exact revenge on people and kill. It's just in his nature. And when he counsels some of these kids, the kids are coming from bad homes and abusive stepfathers, or abusive uncles, or these people that are in their lives that are just causing them trouble. And he decides, what better way to take out his anger, what better way to actually get out his bloodlust than to kill the people that these kids are having problems with, because it solves his bloodlust, and at the same time, these people can't bother those kids anymore. So it's a win-win. Until he realizes that these kids, yeah, they didn't like these people, and yeah, they caused them a lot of trouble, but they didn't want them to die. And so now, people are looking into this, and the police are looking into him, and they're getting closer to figuring this out. And, will he evade the cops? How is he going to deal with his bloodlust? Is his wife going to find out what's going to happen with the son? There's a lot of issues here, and the tension just keeps building and building. And I really like this. I thought Sean William Scott did a really phenomenal job in this role. This is his very first horror film that he's ever done, and he's great in it. He's menacing. Like I said, he's creepy. He's kind of like you don't want to be around him, because at any moment he could just go off on you. He has this sort of quiet menace that I think really works, man. I thought he did a really great job with this role, man. As I think everybody did, I really love the blood and the gore effects, man, when he's stabbing people, and when you see sort of the blood coming down and they're really just crying and screaming out, and you can feel the pain and emotion in these people. I thought it was great. I love the tension between him and the wife, and how he's trying to hide this from her, and how she's trying to find out the truth of what's going on. I really love that sort of cat and mouse game. And I'm not gonna lie, guys, like the ending to this film, and I won't spoil it, but I did not see that coming. Like, I thought it was gonna go in a completely different direction, and it really threw me for a loop. I was like, oh my god, like, really? Like, this happened? I Really? I'm like, okay. It threw me for a loop, but in a good way. Honestly, it did. This is one that I feel like not many people are gonna give a chance to, and I think the reason why is because of Sean William Scott. I think they look at Sean William Scott kind of like I did, and they say, this guy, you know, this guy is the comedy dude. This guy is the action comedy guy, and that's all he is. And why do I need to watch him in a horror film? But honestly, guys, this is one of those ones where I think that's what's great about it. You're not expecting to like this movie, and then it kind of creeps up on you. I thought it was really effective. I really liked it. But I will say this much, though. It's a slow burn of a horror movie. It's a slow burn, which means that it takes a while to get going and it builds up. So it's not sort of a whiz bang horror film. It's more taking its time and being, a little bit more methodical with its pacing. That may turn off some of you guys, but it really didn't turn me off because I was intrigued. I wanted to keep on finding out what was going to happen to him. So I was hooked, man. But I know not everybody's going to be, but I definitely was. And this is a Blumhouse film, and I gotta hand it to Blumhouse. I've talked to you guys about Blumhouse before, but they really do a great job, man. And they really do go out of their way to, yes, you have to do the mainstream horror stuff, like the Halloweens and the Purges and everything, but then you have these more smaller sort of horror films that maybe not everyone's going to give a chance to or finance, but they do because they believe in the directors and they believe in the project, and I really do appreciate that they give a chance to some of these lesser known sort of horror movies and try to give them an audience. So I really do appreciate that in a big bad way. Unfortunately, there is no special features on here, and that really sucks. I really wanted an audio commentary. I wanted a featurette, something here talking about the story, how Sean William Scott really got involved, but we don't really. Maybe in a future release, but in the meantime, I think this is a worthy addition. It's one of the better, newer horror releases that I've seen in a little while. It surprised the heck out of me, and it may surprise the heck out of you. Definitely give it a chance by far. It's not bad, actually. Bloodline. Alright, everybody, that'll do it for the Blu-ray pickup video for October of 2019. And wow, this month was crazy, guys. This was absolutely nutty. I was not expecting to get this many titles. This is the biggest haul that I've had for the channel ever so far, and man, it was well worth it. I mean, just look at this, guys. I mean, really, just look at this. Look at this, man. I mean, my goodness, dude. This is crazy. And it just keeps going and going and going. Oh my goodness, man. This was a crazy good haul for the month of October, man. You know, my wallet is hurting in a big bad way, but let me tell you, it was well worth it. I am so happy with all the pickups that I got, man. You know, collector's editions, limited editions, retro titles, 4K upgrades, new releases, variety from a bunch of the cult labels. Dude, this was a great month. I told you guys that the fall is always really great for physical media, and I ain't lying, man. And October was definitely one of those months where hopefully you guys picked up something good, because I picked up a lot of really great stuff. So hopefully you guys picked up something good. Definitely let me know what you got, guys, because I'm telling you, there was some great physical media for the month of October, and I would be surprised if you guys didn't pick up anything good. So definitely let me know. And now I head on to the November pickups, and you know, just so you guys know, the November pickups are just going to be almost as crazy as the October ones, because I've got retro titles, I've got limited, I've got collector, I've got new releases, I've got 4K upgrades, I've got stuff from the UK that I got, especially stuff from Black Friday, and you know, Dollar Tree stuff. I mean, it's gonna be really ridiculous, dude, what I got for November. It's nutty. I got about 19 or 20 titles, and I wasn't even expecting to get that, guys. I really wasn't, because, I mean, I have 22 titles here, and I thought, well, November's not going to be that bad, and then I almost equaled what I got in October. Wow, man. I gotta admit, I really love physical media so much. And yeah, my wallet wants to scream at me at times, but I'm telling you, it's so well worth it. And what I got coming to you guys for the November pickups is going to be almost equally as cool as what I got for October, man. So definitely stay tuned to that, man. I guarantee you guys you won't be disappointed in that. It's going to be some really great stuff that you're not expecting, and well, you guys know I pick up some really crazy and unique stuff, and stuff that's outside of the box anyway, and November will prove to be the same exact, dude. Trust me, you definitely want to tune into that one. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, definitely give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to the channel, welcome. Check out the other Blu-ray pickup videos that I do for the channel. Check out the Blu-ray DVD Tuesday videos I do every single week. The theatrical movie reviews I do with my friends. Plus cool topic videos I do from time to time. Movie hunting and much more on the channel. If you're a lover of movies and physical media, hit subscribe and become a part of the Film Fan Nation. I want to thank all you guys, my subscribers. The fact that you go out of your way to watch these videos, the fact that you support me, the fact that you comment, subscribe, it really does sort of make me feel like this is worth it. This is worth it for my time to take out of my life to make these videos for you guys. And, you know, you show me the passion just as much as I show you, and I just love it. And, you know, the Film Fan Nation has grown beyond anything I ever thought it would, and I hope it continues to grow, and I hope this great movie-loving community that we're building together continues to thrive. And as you guys keep showing me the passion, I will keep making the videos, so thank you so much. So if you like how I talk about movies and the videos, definitely hit subscribe, and keep up to date with everything I'm doing through Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. FilmFan108. Keep up to date with everything I'm doing, plus special videos and pictures I do from time to time on social media as well. Alright, guys, I will see you back next time for another Blu-ray pickup video. Physical media keeps on rolling, and I ain't stopping anytime soon. See you later, guys, and happy hunting.